Hello folks, how's it going? We've got ourselves a midweek tournament showdown going on here. Dropping everything. Just got back home, had to go pick up a friend from their class, so I'm a little scattered right now. We'll work on getting situated here real quick before we get into game. It should be a good one. It's a pretty small tournament today, nothing too crazy going on. Oh, sweet. And we got Khorne versus Tomb Kings for our first matchup today. This is a pretty tough matchup for Khorne, honestly. I need to restart because I don't have the map pack turned on. So I'm going to have to formulate something a little bit different than what I've been doing because I've been struggling a lot here. And it's been pretty brutal. Yeah, we'll figure it out. It shouldn't be too terrible. I just need to make sure that I've got the right moves coming in to ice these guys. Alright, let's get through all this. Now we're back. So we're playing Khorne, and the map is Dried Floodplain, I'm pretty sure. So we'll get it, get Greenskin to swap it over here real quick. I'll let him know. I forget to change maps all the time. Alright, so, Tomb Kings are pretty tough. I mean, Cetra is a very powerful character, incredibly dangerous to have to, go up against. So I'm gonna need something a little bit, tuned towards, keeping him in check. Otherwise, I'm gonna just get flattened here, which would be very painful. I'm gonna flip away for just a minute, while I'm picking my army, and then we'll, jump back in. And I'll bring you all over here. You can check out the current stats as they stand, and you can see here the win rates. It's pretty even right now, but I think that's a little bit deceptive. I think it's more like a 60-40 matchup in favor of the Tomb Kings. Honestly, there haven't been that many games played on this matchup. Do I need this? I don't think so. We're gonna go for an interesting and potentially very risky build here, I think. I don't think I need those guys. I think a couple more of these will work. 1-1. Another one. Are these guys really my my answer to the Tomb Kings? I don't think they are. I think I'm gonna skew a different direction this time around. think that might be too many of these guys. I think this might actually be a little bit smoother of a build for me. See, the scary thing about Tomb Kings is they've got a lot of very good monsters backed up by incredible missile pressure, which can be pretty devastating for Khorne to have to deal with. They can really put you on the back foot early and not let up the pressure, which I can't really afford. I really need to try and play from ahead as much as possible here. Ready with the picks. We'll see how it goes. It could be rough. It could be a pretty devastating loss, but I think I'm pretty well prepared for the potential of a couple of different things with this build, and might be able to more smoothly counter my opponent's options. No messages from anybody in the chats here, it looks like. So we're good to roll. Whenever Greenskin is ready here. Sweet. And I'll actually remember to flip us over. I've been a little forgetful on occasion lately. What's up, Bumpy? Yeah, it's cooking time. We've schemed up something a little bit different. A little bit devious here for Khorne, I would say. Not your, more standard fare from the Blood God. We'll see how it ends up working out, because, this is still going to be really tough. No matter how you slice it. We do have lots of tree covers, so that is going to be really great for our missile units, as well as the Khorne Gores. I might play pretty cautiously with those guys. I don't know if I'm going to throw them up onto a point early or not. I might send one forward to try and cap, but I don't know if I'll get too crazy. Karanak is going to sit up here as well. We've got quite a few units in the Vanguard. So the idea behind bringing Karanak is that Karanak's pretty good against Cetra. He does some pretty decent damage to him. And also just being able to lock him in place and hit him with throwing axes for any amount of time is going to be really good. So the game plan is to use the Marauder horses to capture the #1 objective early here. Pull back, keep him waiting in the wings. For the inevitable push of Cetra, who is probably going to be the Lord option. And if he's not, and my opponent's brought somebody like Kotep or Arcan, I do have the Exalted Bloodthirster with Deathbringer, who, with a good jump, should be able to just absolutely obliterate those guys. And get me in a nice winning position early, which would be pretty sick. I would really love to see that. I think we'll start with the Furies grounded, just so that it's a little harder to shoot them, and then we can jump up in the air when it's time. I'll give Greenskin another minute here. We're going to try and play the #2 and the 1, if we can. Tomb Kings have a lot of artillery options. Screaming Skull catapults are really good against Khorne. We'll need to be prepared for them. I do have plenty of dive tools to get in the backfield, if need be. I've got a decent infantry corps here. Infantry shouldn't be a big issue for me. Your standard Marauder does beat the Tomb King's openers pretty hard, usually. We do have the Sphinx and Cetra. That's kind of what I was expecting. We're just going to stay away from them. I don't want to take any damage on my Marauder Horsemen early. We're going to try and keep those guys as healthy as possible, and we're going to just play the number 3 and the number 2. With this kind of an army, with all these Skeleton Horse Archers taking the point early, I really don't want to be giving the Tomb Kings an early opportunity to just jump all over me. They can definitely shoot in against the Khorngors a little bit here. That's alright. We're going to need the Minotaurs out here early. Just because we can't really afford to sit back for too long. Pull back. We'll get some damage in here with Karanak. He does a pretty good job of debuffing. My opponent's not shooting Karanak, just focusing on the Khorngors, which is a pretty good call. The Minotaurs forward, and they'll be able to do some really good damage. We're just going to wait for the Skeleton Warriors to move up. They're going to take a while to get here. And I think we bring out a unit of Khorngors next. And I think we can maybe get some damage on Cetra or the Sphinx here. We'll actually use Karanak to push around, and we'll try and box out the Horse Archers here. Stay back, stay back. That's a really good Usirians. We did get a nice volley off on Cetra. Oh, decent damage. Nothing too crazy. We just want to get into combat here. We'll push up all these guys behind.
Take it back.
Play out on the flank. I think we bring, yeah, a Blood Beast out as well. The front line should be a decent enough fight for us. We're going to try and get overhead here. I'm going to push the Khorngors through into the back line. It's not going too well, so we might just want to get into combat here. We'll get after the Sphinx here that's landed in the main brawl now. We can try and do as much damage here in the front line as we can. Deathbringer should give us a decent chunk of damage to do here. We'll try and get Karanak through as well. We're chewing on those guys in the backfield. We've got the Minotaurs not doing a whole lot yet. But that's fine. We'll get back. We need them to come over and help out our boy here. Did a decent chunk of damage there, but definitely don't want to stay engaged in the mainline fight here. Doing a very good job of protecting the backfield so far. Get another Furion to try and go after those guys there. Let's see if we can start chipping down the Sphinx of Uskef here. We should be able to do some pretty big damage to this thing. And we'll get another throwing axe out. Where's Karanak? Karanak's hiding in the back here, not doing a whole lot right now. And here we go. We've got a really nice opportunity to do some damage to the Chosen of the Gods here. And we can probably escape just fine now. We're going to use our goodies to try and get our Bloodthirster back up in the air, so he didn't take a ton of freaking damage. And we've got a great engagement on the big boy here. It's taking some pretty serious damage right now. Are we going to be able to kill it, though, is the question, and my game is just stuttering like a mother right now. Oh my goodness. Alright, so Khorngors, some of them are struggling a little bit, but we've done a pretty good job of chewing through the front line. We've got a great fight against the Sphinx here. I wish I could lock it down as well. Let me get out. Alright, let's try and punish Cetra now. This is our opportunity. Minnows need to get out and re-engage while we beat up on Cetra. And we're going to use Relentless Rage here on the Minotaurs. Come on, Bloodthirster, please get out of here, buddy. I really need to not lose the Bloodthirster. We are getting our ass kicked right now. Ugh, Tomb Kings just defy me. I don't know why I can't figure out this match out up. You would think it'd be a little bit easier for Khorne, but we're just really struggling to finish the big stuff here, which is just beating the ever-loving hell out of us right now. Kiranak, come on, squeeze out of here, bud. You cannot just get stuck in here and die, please. The Necrotech's coming forward and did get the heal off. Ugh, that's so disgusting, man. God. And we got a Terror Route going on. Yeah, we're gonna lose this game. There's no way we can win this. Ugh. Damn, dude. Very painful. Kiranak just hasn't been able to get good enough value. Maybe we can get through here and kill that guy. Maybe the Tomb Kings will run out of steam here. That's kind of the hope. I don't think they will, though. We've just lost way too much. We haven't really done any damage in return either, which is really brutal. Like, our expensive stuff is quite worn out right now. We do have Kiranak chewing on the beastie back there. Doing a little bit of work. Chosen the Gods haven't done too much damage. It's just that the throwing axes really haven't been able to get a lot of work done. Our Minotaurs got wrecked a little bit. And now we've got our Bloodthirster dying in the backfield here. We really need this guy just to get some damage in here. Maybe finish off one of these big monsters. Yeah, the Horsemen are just not good in this matchup, dude. They just get dumpstered by big stuff. Maybe you just go full rush. Otherwise, I feel like you're just wasting your time. I mean, can't get anything done with what I've got left on the field here. I think you just gotta go full bore into the front line to try and get through it. Rather than trying to play this skirmishy game that I'm trying to play, because it just doesn't work, dude. Like, we just lost all of our stuff early on and have no momentum on the field anymore. I think a build-up strategy would have worked better. Chosen of the Gods wrecked me. The Horse Archers got some really good value. Really, it's just the Sphinx and Cetra here, man. I mean, they did really well. The Sphinx especially. We'll try and get something done here, but it doesn't look good at all. Kiranak was able to kill the Necrotech, which is great, but lacking any response for Cetra and the big boy is really bad for me now. And the Skeleton Chariots are just flattening my army. Didn't get anything out of these guys either. Oof.
Blood for the blood god.
Get out here. We'll try and get something done in this fight. Just getting hit by Usirians again, which is a really good call. Very good spell. Tomb Kings are so damn good, man. That's a GG.
You have been bested.
That's brutal. We tried cooking and we burnt the sauce, guys. Exalted Bloodthirster just gets countered by the Sphinx of Uzkef too hard, obviously. I really shouldn't have brought him in. Nikesh's Scorpion Legion did really nicely. Our Minotaurs, I just left the Minos in spears way too long, as well as the Blood Beasts. These throwing axes did alright. The Korngors didn't get much of anything done. My front line folded up. Ow. We'll have to go back and cook something else up, because that wasn't it. I think Scylla would have been a better call. Scylla's got a Rampage and Brass Collar and hits really hard as well. Maybe going with these two guys would be a little bit easier for me. There's no shame in using the Sphinxes. They're a dominant unit for a reason. I think if I wanted to skirmish, I needed a Skull Cannon. They do a lot of damage, and it would have forced the Tomb Kings to come to me a little bit more. It would have also pulled forward the Chosen of the Gods. And I probably could have gotten a lot better damage off. And it would have given my Marauders time. I just went in way too hard against the Undead, which is just always my problem. You can't get through them with Khorne like you do against other factions. And not building up really hurt me. Like, just a lot of Marauders and keeping them in the woods for the opening. Taking 1 point and waiting for all my Furies and Fleshhounds to come out would have been the better option, I think. With Valkia, because Valkia can go after the Chosen of the Gods and push them back pretty easily, and then Scylla can wait for Cetra and the Sphinx, excuse me. Get some good damage on those guys. So, easy early loss. But hopefully we can rebound from this, and then we can carry on to get into the semis. But we're going to need a little bit of help. I mean, it's a pretty small tournament, so if anybody is going undefeated, they're pretty much guaranteed an in. We're probably going to have some rematches here. Navigator and Pizu already finished their game. Who did Navigator end up playing? They were going to play Beastmen. But Beastmen stay banned. The win rates have flipped a little bit on the leaderboard, but I still think Beastmen are a top 3 faction. The only reason that Norska has a higher win rate is because they haven't lost 11 games with 0 wins against the Ogre Kingdoms, like the Beastmen have. Which is really wild. Oh yeah, we've got Chorfs. That's who... Oh, Chorfs versus Demons is brutal, man. Demons of Chaos don't get to use Heartseekers and stuff, because those are bugged right now, but they are kind of what is needed to counter the trains. It's just... the issue is that once they surround a train, they just delete it in half a second. There's, like, no counterplay for it still. That's why they're staying banned for the current iteration of this tournament setting. But how they counter trains, I have no idea without them. Angels of Decay, maybe? Or maybe a Soul Grinder of Tzeentch. I mean, these things do pretty good bonus versus large damage. They hit really freaking hard. I'd be curious to know from the guys playing it how exactly that matchup ended up going. could have probably also brought Skulltaker on the Blood Throne and relied on him to just stay alive against the Sphinx. He's pretty tanky and hard to kill. As long as you can keep him out of a really bad fight, he should be alright. And he supports Marauders pretty well. Yeah, so on that last map, I didn't play well to the map at all, but we'll go in, we'll take a look at it so I can talk to you about what I probably should have done. I'm also a little rusty because I haven't played myself in a couple of weeks. I've been doing a lot of casting and then working on tier list stuff. So I really have to get back in the swing of this game. Dried Floodplain is a really good map for brawly factions, typically. We'll auto-gen an army here real quick. We'll just do the same here. Just to get in. That's fair enough. That's a good point, Greenskin. It's not that they're bugged. They just got the thinner models. They just pile in like crazy. That's why they're overperforming. That is a pretty good point, but I don't know. Maybe they should think about reverting the change just on the Seekers and Heart Seekers, really, because it's the Devastating Flanker combined with the model change that has made them so ridiculous. And I'm pretty sure that what's going on is they proc Devastating Flanker if they surround an SE, which I don't think really should be happening, but I suspect is. Got a blood shrine. We got this boy on the on horseback. So what you want to do on a map like Dried Floodplain is, if your opponent is a missile heavy faction like my last opponent was in the Tomb Kings, like what I really should have done is just like keep everything in the woods for the opening. You know, you go up, you try to cap an objective, and you just hang out for a bit and try and build up forces behind that. Like, I can bring out all these Flesh Hounds, I could bring out my Corn Gores and my Skull Cannons and stuff, and then you wait until you can push in and take the enemy out. But that's just because there's lots of shot blockers here. If this were a more open map, then you want to try and lock horns as quickly as possible. It's going to be a lot harder to just build up patiently. Another thing that's really important for playing maps, beyond just shot blockers and forests and everything, is where the capture points themselves are. Like, you can see here in the middle of the map, there's the 3 right across the row here. Which means, I call them split-pushing maps. Like a more traditional, like Glade of the Everqueen type of deal. Doesn't really have that. You've got a home objective, which is on the back edge, which is really close to your deployment zones. Those you are gearing up for a fight in the middle. Which typically means you need a little bit more effective cap weight than your opponent to try and hold on to it early. It all depends on playstyle, though. You know? Like, if you are a very aggressive player, you want to build your armies to try and take fights early. If you are a missile-heavy faction, you want to build up and take the time to get all your missile pieces out and then push in. If your opponent doesn't engage into you. Like, what Khorne can do on this map, especially easily, is everything goes to the middle to start out. Because your spawn zones are so close, like, the first thing that I could bring out is a Khorne Gore to go sit on the number 1. Because they come out of the Vanguard and they can get up on the point really quickly because they're pretty fast. They just sit there and they cap this objective up, and if your opponent is gonna commit to trying to overwhelm your home objective, they've got to move a long way to get there. Well, I've just got to go like half the distance to get up here and immediately start capping. Or to counter their pressure. So I'll just move these guys up. I can hang out here. Hounds of the Blood Hunt are really good against stuff like Secret Chariots. Pretty much hard counter them, because they've got the magical attack negation. We're going to try and stay away from the big boy, though. You can just kind of, like, charge stuff in. Like, Korngors want to box him out, and the Blood Beast can go over there, while the Hellforged Host with the Blood Shrine are going to take the fight against the Demonettes. This is like a little bit of how you want to play. So this guy's like landed back here, and you can kind of trap him up. And you know, he's moved up into the trees. Or actually hasn't. He's on the edge of them. But you know, you like trap him here. Get him all nice and beat up. And because Slaanesh doesn't have a lot of missiles, I don't really have to worry about building up nearly as much. I just need to take good fights in the opening. Is kind of the idea. If this were Tomb Kings and they had a bunch of catapults and Chosen of the Gods, like back here, this is usually where they'll be positioned. They would have their skeleton front line up here as well, just to box me off of points and gear up to push on to the objective once they try and shoot me off. If it were Tomb Kings, I would try and stay back here in the trees with the majority of my forces. I would push up all the cheap stuff to take damage early, and then I would bring out all of my mobility tools, like the Flesh Hounds, the Blood Beasts, DPS, and Harass alike, before trying to sweep around the side of the formation to try and collapse on them. But here you just want to get in and start doing damage early. You know, this isn't very representative because it's just the AI. They have a bunch of, like, debuff on them from the difficulty multiplier. So, just wanted to talk a little bit about it, as Aggie is asking. And, you know, fighting, if you can drag your opponent's big stuff into trees, now you can actually see that, does this guy have Strider? Is that, oh yeah. That's right, Slaanesh is a terrible faction to use as an example for talking about the, maps, because they get Strider on everything, which means that they suffer no terrain penalties. But typically, if a unit doesn't have Strider on them, that means that if you're charging uphill, your units get slowed down and their charge bonus isn't as good. If you fight in trees, then your large units get a penalty to their melee attack and speed. There's a lot of little things like that that can really add up in a game. Nothing is so straightforward in this. I played way too honestly in that first round. But we'll get some revenge here. We got a Lizardman matchup, which is going to be a lot easier for me. Hopefully. Lizards are not simple, though. They've got some cool tricks that they can bring against Khorne for sure. And Shaftesbury is a really good Lizardman player. But favorable win rate so far. You can see Tomb Kings. They're up a little bit on Khorne right now. Steely has sent me a replay, so we'll probably check that out at some point. I'll probably do a separate cast. Okay. Beastmen are the Forbidden Band faction currently. Shaft is asking me how it's going. Rusty, that's how it's going. Very rusty. We'll see if we can shake it off before we get eliminated in round 2. That would be really unfortunate. And we're on Crystal Lake. Crystal Lake is a split pushing map. It's got the objectives all lined up in the middle. We're playing against lizards. They can be a shooting faction. Against Khorne, they typically go for debuff type of builds. I've seen Shaftesbury bring a Beastcaster with Curse of Honor here with Nakai, which is really brutal, does some nasty damage. So we probably want to be taking some fights in the open field. The trees will help us a little bit, potentially. We'll just see what our opponent has before we commit to either side of the field. We don't have to advance early. I'm very curious what I'm going to be bringing here. Because lizards also have the big boy, Shredder of Lustria. And that can absolutely just shellac you. It's something I really can't afford. I think we're going to go for one of my personal fave builds against the lizards here. Corngors are just... You have to bring a bunch of Corngors in this matchup. Lizards just do way too much damage if you don't. What else can we think about bringing here? Maybe I don't want Arbol. Huh. You know what? Maybe today is the day I stay loyal here. Got a couple of them. That's nice. The tricky thing about the Lizardmen is the skink swarms. If you can't win early, then oftentimes you'll get out-capped just because they have so many chaff tools that they can throw out on the field that just do disgusting work against you and forcing you off of points. The question of how to work around that is certainly not an easy one, though. Is this it? Maybe I don't bring these guys at all. Give me a sec, guys. I'm being a little indecisive as to what I want, like, my final composition to look like. trying to figure out what my last couple of abilities are going to be. Alright. I'm ready up here. Chef should be following behind shortly. Yeah, Shaft is saying in our Discord messages that he's been practicing a bunch of other stuff, other factions, and feels like he's forgotten everything. I definitely feel that. That's pretty normal for when you start to, like, branch out and play other factions. Coming back to the ones that you started off on can oftentimes feel a little bit alien and unfamiliar. Just adjusting and getting back to fundamentals, though, is usually the best way to go about it. Just bring builds that you're comfortable with, and you'll usually be able to regain your composure and familiarity with the faction. So we did it again. We brought the Exalted Bloodthirster once more. We'll keep the corn gores up in the trees. We will actually use the trees for now. The Marauders, they'll be good enough to be able to buffer any skinks and missiles away from the Skull Cannons. Skull Cannons feast in this matchup. It is so nice. They just do so much good work. They're really good against the Shredder builds, especially if there's a Slan Priest of Life. The Skull Cannons are really good at shooting those guys down, actually. And if you can force your opponent to use all their heals on the Slan, then you can work down the Shredder in the late game with the throwing axes, who I'm going to be using a bunch of. Lots of Corn Gores. Like I said, they're pretty important in this matchup. You kind of can't beat the Lizardmen without them. Oftentimes, they're just so good against Colden's Spear Riders. And the even against Saurus, they do okay. Because Saurus have pretty low melee defense with the Frenzy and, what is it? Primal Rage, I think it is, or Primal Fury. These guys get over the melee defense on a standard Saurus, and they've got AP, so they do pretty good damage to him. Yeah, the Hellforged Bellowers is banned until further notice. That unit is so stupid. Khorne turns into probably the second strongest faction with that unit available, and you just bring it in every matchup, and it just kills your opponent's entire infantry line, and then you just auto-win, oftentimes. It's not very fun to play against. It skews matchups way too hard. Alright. Shaft is ready, and we'll see if we can start to unwind from our deficit that we've gotten ourselves in early. Get up on the points early. There's Nakai. We've got a big lizard army, which is fine. I was a little bit prepared for this. Cohort of Waddles out here. They're going to be really tough to deal with Nakai on the field. The best thing that we can do is try and avoid all that. We just don't want to engage against Nakai. Just going to have to cap the objective early and sit here. More Corn Gores might be good, but I think I'm actually going to bring, oh, we've got Razordons coming out. Razordons are going to be pretty, tough to handle. Alright, we need the Skull Cannons to actually hit shots here. Skull Cannons are going to be able to do some good work, though. We'll get, shots here, because these guys are turned a little bit, so even if we miss, with the initial shots, we'll still get Vortex damage. I'm gonna pull out. What do I bring in? bring in the bloodletters, actually. We're gonna rotate down to the low ground. Lizards can just have this objective, honestly. I don't need to hold on to it. Just trying to get damage early, and we should be able to shoot the Razordons here now. If we just keep kiting back, maybe we can draw the lizards really deep into our formation. So they're throwing some javelins. We'll use the, we'll try and actually avoid taking that particular fight. I'm gonna shoot the cohort of Sotek here. We'll get a rear charge and break that position, then we'll go to the low ground. And over here, we'll bring out some Flesh Hounds, and we'll double charge these guys. And that should be really good for us. We'll shoot them. We'll charge here. We'll engage over here, I guess. Oh, these red-crested skinks actually broke through pretty hard. Get away. Red-cresteds are coming through the trees here. We can get a Fury out, and they should be able to kill those guys, though. We're gonna try and dive bomb the little guy. We'll actually get throwing axes out, and we'll engage back here, and we should be able to beat them. These are the Ripper Dactyls, which is fine. We're gonna actually land here. We're gonna drag them to the ground. Get a charge there. That's going to pull the Rippers down, and then we charge in here. Alright, we're crushing through some of the front line here, which is really great. We use this Skull Cannon to counterfire, and we haven't broken these red-crested skinks yet, but I think it's only a matter of time, and we've done a very good job of peeling for the Exalted Bloodthirster. He's taken some damage here, but we can just pull back. We're going to try and value trade as long as possible. Furies. Gonna fly in and try and get after the Razordons. We just need to keep our guys as healthy as possible. Big damage here. Cohort of Sotek are holding up both of the skull cannons here. But we can probably burst those guys down just fine. We need to get up with some stuff. We need to go capture an objective before we start getting too far behind. We'll send the Flesh Hounds to the low ground. We're gonna get over some of our guys here. Cohort of Waddle are kind of running over the Exalted Bloodletters, which I don't love. Let's get these guys back. Let's get some more Corngores out who can answer these dudes before they jump down my throat too hard here. Exalted Bloodthirster's gonna charge these guys down. We're gonna look for an opportunity for the sword later. Right now we can just get in here and start doing some damage with the melee attack buff. Haven't gotten a lot of value with this big boy. We need to get him away from the Razordons before they just fuck him up. They get a little damage here, but we dodged most of the shots. Getting up in the air again. Mostly winning on the back end here, but the Furies just crumbled out for God knows what reason. I don't even know why. Cohort of Waddle are running me over right now. We'll try and get some throwing axe fire in there. And now I think it's time to look for the big sword, which should do some fat damage here. The lizards are decently blobbed up in here, and the Flesh Hounds shouldn't take a lot of damage while we do pretty good damage in return. We're starting to flip this game around, I think. We just need to stay away from the Cohort of Waddle, and we are going to be alright. More Corngores. Just flooding the field with them should be nice for me. We'll actually send these guys in to try and buffer for them. We'll just use the Deathbringer, just because we haven't really needed our Lord to do a whole lot. He's mostly just been dragging units' attention around. And making life really annoying for the lizards. And we've kind of broken through here. We need to start capping objectives now, though. We are very far behind on that front. So we need to get over here and start capping all this stuff. And we're gonna get some horsemen out, and they're gonna go chase off the remains of all these units, as well as shoot at the Ripperdactyls as they go. Corngors and these fleshies have done really nicely for me. I need to get this guy back up in the air. I don't know why he's still hanging out on the ground here. And we do have the cap issues coming in. This tends to happen against the lizards. They just get a ton of chaff out, and they end up being really annoying to try and grind through. Yeah, unsummon all this stuff. I should have summoned these guys farther forward, but it is what it is, I guess. We'll just cap here. Fight. Do damage. Get the fuck out of here. More Ripperdactyls coming in. We did cap the objective. Okay, we finally got something, and now we need to start capping the other ones. Owie. Wow, man. Those javelins, dude, just hit so hard against the skirmishers. Let's move over. What do we need? I think we need blood beasts. We've got to get something out on the field. God, dude, I'm just so barren again. Like, once again, the Exalted Bloodthirster is really letting me down. I really need to just stop bringing this guy, I think. This has not been the answer to my woes so far. Alright, now we've got these guys right by the spawn point. We're gonna see what we can do here. My opponent does a really good job of getting back up in the air. We have capped some of the objectives, though, which is awesome. We've got the horsemen out here. We've got the double cap. We should start grinding back in here pretty quickly. Alright, my opponent made a huge mistake over here. That's going to be really good value for me. These guys just need to get committed into the fight, and we're going to try and charge down these red cresteds. And we'll work down the nasty stuff there, and we'll bring out a blood beast. We might be alright here. We're going to get a breath attack over here as well. These guys can scream down the field. We can fire in here. Let's get these guys out and leave the Corngors to grind. Those guys are just getting some value for me. We might actually, you know what? I'm gonna pop Relentless Rage here. We'll get the collapse and might actually be able to break their leadership. And we'll go after the little skink back there. We might be able to win this, guys. It's been rough in the early going, but I think we're rallying here a little bit. Another throwing axe is going to be really nice. We're going to take the point. We're going to not dive in over there. Got blood beasts. Oh, Court of Waddle over here, capping the point up, which I don't want to let happen. We've got lots of throwing axes. Let's not shoot those guys in the back. That would be very foolish of me. Land over there and try and get some value and cap that point. Punishing those guys a little bit. Let's get away. We won up here. What do we have coming in? Nothing coming in per se. I'm going to use these guys to screen a little bit. What do I want? I think Blood Beasts are the right call here. Throwing axes are doing nice damage. Corngors are getting ripped up by Nakai. He's just buffing everything in the radius around him, and he's doing a really good job of killing stuff.
Takers of skulls, finding victims.
God, this game is so close. I'm starting to fall behind because the infantry are falling apart again. Let's get a little damage on these guys so they can't run away. Maybe with the Blood Beasts and these Corngors here, we can start forming up a little death ball that should be able to take care of all this stuff here. pull back. Let's get in there, and now we can start doing some serious damage. We'll charge down those guys here. We've got Blood Beasts way off in the distance doing God knows what. And we did hold the middle objective. I think I need some Chaos Warriors out now. Big damage buff going in there from Nakai. We need to pull our Lord out of here before he gets killed, because I'm going to cry if he ends up dead. We're going to pop this just so he can get out. And he's somehow not able to get back up in the air. Oh my god, dude, Nakai. Trapped him on the ground, and I think we'll lose if we lose our Lord. Oh my god, you gotta be kidding me, dude. Not again. This is brutal, man. Oh my goodness. Marauders are gonna start coming out. See, the lizards are gonna be able to start capping objectives up with their superior skinks. Capture weight. I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle all that. And the Blood Beasts are alone over here now. These guys are doing alright. They're breaking through a lot of these units. We need them to turn around and save the skull cannons, though. I don't think we can finish Nakai either. We've got skinks coming out. Just lots of marauders, I guess. We saved the skull cannons, but at what cost? I don't know if we're going to be able to beat any of the stuff in here. God damn it. Okay. Yeah, the Blood Beasts can't get away. The skull cannons have done pretty well for themselves, but they just haven't gotten me quite enough value. They haven't really carried the game for me the way that I need them to. See if we can break these guys with a couple of shots. We're compounding our error a little bit by committing more stuff down there. We are gonna win if this stays a double cap game, which is gonna be really nice. We do have to retake this top objective, though. We're gonna just drive in here with the motorcycles. There's no reason not to. Maybe we can grind Nakai down by sneaking these Corngors into combat against him as well. What do I need here, man? I think I need a Flesh Hound, actually. I think a Flesh Hound will do me wonders here. So, they feast on skinks, man. They do a really good job against them. These Blood Beasts are rallying back here. We did get on top of Nakai. We're gonna pull the Chaos Warriors out. I don't think my opponent realized that these are Chaos Warriors in here, because they have been very good at holding this down. Alright, we pushed our opponent off here. I'm gonna form up and go after these red cresteds. And the skull cannon's gonna help us out with that. We're gonna go back to the middle. We're gonna get these Corngors moving in. We're gonna go Unga Bunga onto the middle. Oh, we got a full surround on Nakai too. Oh, that's beautiful. Come on. Finish him. Finish him. Finish him. Finish him. Skull cannons are gonna go run through. Flesh Hounds are gonna take this fight, and our little boys are gonna go take that fight. Wow, Nakai escaped. Oh, with 800 HP. No! We've got to take the objectives, like, ASAP. But somehow, our Chaos Warriors decided to run away. That's rough, man. That's really rough. We just got stuff in flight with so much HP left. I mean, like, we're not hanging out on the objectives long enough. We'll just bomb this stuff and hope to God it does something. Like, maybe we can get back onto this point now, because we just broke a bunch of stuff. We're taking the middle. We should be able to intercept those guys. Skull cannons are doing some really good work. Come on, please break that position. I'm begging you. Let's run down onto that now. Skinks have moved up onto the objective here. We'll get a Fleshhound out. That should be able to save it. Nakai's killing those guys. Fleshhound. Go! A cast ye. Ruin upon ye, maybe. My opponent's gotta hold for a few more seconds here. If I had killed Nakai and not lost my lord, I think we would have won this game. But it's not over yet. Oh, we barely hold on to those, holy crap. No freaking way. I don't know if we can get the low ground, though. I think it's too late. I don't have a unit that can get out there in time, I don't think. Maybe we break these guys in time? We need to keep them on the point here. No! Oh!
There is only defeat.
Damn, dude. That's so brutal. I'm very let down by the Exalted Bloodthirster today. It's just not doing anything. Marauders did fine. Corngores did pretty damn good. Warriors did great. Fleshhounds were an absolute menace, dude. 1800 on them, and the Skull Cannons were acceptable as well. Exalted Bloodletters I shouldn't have brought out as early as I did. They just got run over by the cohort. I wasn't able to protect them long enough for them to get value. And I'll let the Skink Cohort Javelins really feast on me. Which is not ideal. You really have to shut these guys down before they can get their volleys off. I think we cut that guy from now on. I don't know. I just haven't seen him get enough work done. Then you bring Valkia. Another shielded warrior would be really nice. Shielded warriors just weren't it. I could just go meta and just bring the Bloodweight Berserkers and stuff, I guess. It's probably what I should be doing, but whatever. We've fully committed to playing around today. What's going on, guys? Thank you, Pizu. How is your tournament experience going? Hopefully better than mine. I am 0-2 now. So Via, Son of Heaven, and Pizu are all undefeated. Navigator, Shaft. I'm down here in the pits, man. Unbelievable. Lost both my games. Yeah, they kind of are, I guess. Oh, who dropped? Well, somebody dropped, so, we've got a buy round, I guess. Oh, no, Greenskin's still here. Who played Pizu? Oh, Falling Star? Oh, Falling Star dropped. Aw, man. Ripperoni. Got Death Shriek to game 1. You know what, Pizu, can we spectate your game since you've gone undefeated so far? Since we've got a bye round. Here we go. Yeah, we'll cast Pizu's game since we got a bye round. Either that or we can cast Shaftesbury. Whoever responds first will end up doing their game. Okay, here we go. Honestly, the best thing that you can do against Lizardmen is just bring Bloodletters, because they do a pretty good job against the ickies, the little skinks. And then they can also do really well against Saurus, and they just hold up better. They don't get terrified. Nakai has the Terror Routes, and the Terror Routes basically clinch that game for the Lizardmen. Yeah, if Red Olgor had been on the field, I would have won that match. You're so right. I unironically think Red Olgor would be the uncontested top-tier Lord option for Khorne. Just because of the Gore Feast and the bonus versus large that Red Olgor has, would really crush through a lot of the Lizardmen's best units. And probably against a lot of other factions. Like, I think Red Olgor would help flip around the Tomb Kings matchup as well. Yeah, if I had gone with a box, the Ancient Salamander would have come out. It was a really clean build. I just was sloppy as well. We almost had it at the end. Shaftesbury played very clean and did a very good job of punishing me, where I was overextending, especially with my Lord. My Lord play has been very bad so far. I've lost the Exalted Bloodthirster both games. But I think I'm just gonna keep staying committed to that and try and do another build with the Bloodthirster, because we might as well at this point. I want to see if I can figure out a good way to support that guy. Tomb King should have a pretty good matchup against the Demons of Chaos here. Oh, hold up. Oh, I gotta adjust your points, Pizzo. You lost in the first round to Navigator. It gave you an extra point for the bye round, so I need to move it off. Valkia is the obvious pick, but I'm trying to do different stuff. I don't want to just play with Valkia all the time. I had enough of that when she was the only viable Lord option, basically. And I'd really like to be able to get the Exalted Bloodthirster to work. On paper, very good Lord option. You have to be very clean with your micro on the big guy. He's got Terror, so he can break through front lines, which is pretty nice. And I think my issue in that last game is I let him get shoot by Razordons a little too much. And then there at the end, I made the mistake of trying to push back away into the greenskin, or the Lizardman army to try and escape with them, rather than going through my own front line to drag all of the Lizardman units off, because there's poison, Nakai is pretty quick, he's also got perfect vigor, so he was just like locked step with the Bloodthirster. And I think that's why I ended up losing him. If I had just pulled him through my front line with Relentless Rage active on him, it would have been fine. And then he would have gotten up in the air. I'd have just kept him at the back of the map, and my leadership would have held steady enough for a much cleaner end game there, where I was starting to finally pull an advantage. Your best bet against the Lizardmen is, what's-his-face on the Shrine. Skulltaker. Skulltaker on the Shrine's way too tough for the Lizardmen to kill with the Skink Skirmisher, so they have to bring in Razordons. And then their Lord has to, like, chase him around the whole game, otherwise he's just gonna rip apart the Skink front line. And then Valkia's got Sloupnir that you can drop through the Skinks, which does big damage. Especially on red-crested Skinks, which is like the perfect target for her. Which is like a mid-tier infantry unit with really low armor. And a moderately sized HP pool. Sloupnir will get big value against those guys. Those would be the much better options. We got Stooges, Blue Horrors, gonna be moving to the low ground. Excuse me. Chromatic Abominations and the Sour Guts with another Blue Horror going to move up to the number 2. With 2 Plague Bearers maybe going to push the number 1. Very spread out army for the demons, but skirmishing all over the field is not a bad move with them in the early going, because you've got so much range and decent mobility with some strong staying power in the form of the Plague Bearers, especially the Festering Stooges, though. These guys are crazy hard to kill. Because they get Gloom of Flies, which imbues terror onto them. Not that that matters much against the Tomb Kings. But they do also have the Festering Gate, which gives them the heal of 0.1 per second. And it's better than your typical passive heal because it also resurrects dead combatants. Which means they're never going to reach a point where they heal cap themselves before they get all the models off. Herald moving up, Chromatic Tome, we've got Blue Fire and Pink Fire, really good options against Tomb Kings. Tomb Kings are very weak to flaming attacks. A lot of their lords are weak to fire. You can see here Cetra even has a minor weakness to it, 15%. Funnily enough, the missile resist does help against the Blue Fire because it counts as a missile and a spell. So that will mitigate the flaming damage, but Warp Flame is going to be imbued, which also raises weakness and lowers armor a little bit, to give a little bit of extra damage there. We've got the Sphinx of Uskef hanging out on the point, Fleshhounds chilling, having capped up the number 3, they probably should retreat a little, and all the Blue Horrors advancing up. Pizu needs to be very careful about sending the Plague Bearers in down here alone. The Sphinx of Uskef is not great against infantry, but can do some pretty good damage against them. Just because these guys are pretty reliant on physical resistance. And then the Pope from Skeleton Horse Archers would also definitely hurt them. Beautiful Pink Fire. Oh my god. Big damage on the Skeleton Spears and the Warriors there. Half HP and a third off of the Warrior unit. And now the Festering Stooges are moving in. I would just lock them in combat, honestly. I don't think they're going to be able to get any volleys off here against Cetra before they get engaged. They might as well get what little charge bonus they've got going available for them. Very patient from Pizu. And the Tomb Kings just have 2 very split positions here, which is going to be a big mistake, I think. You can see the Pink Fires doing disgusting work against the front line so far. With the Fiends and the Fleshhounds jumping on this Skeleton Spear, Normally this wouldn't be a good fight for all these units, but they've taken so much damage now, they might be able to just chew them up before they can do anything in return. They are going to push out and might be going to intercept the Tomb Guard or get after these horsemen. Sour Guts firing onto the low ground, getting good damage on the Skeleton Warriors. More Flesh Hounds coming in. No movement from the Tomb Kings from the low ground here. But finally going to be advancing. Blue Horrors getting good damage on those Skeleton Horse Archers. Sphinx of Uzkaf should do some big work here. I do have Pinks with Hounds surrounding the Skeleton Horsemen who are engaged with the Chromatic Abominations, who are doing a very good job of soaking up damage. This is a pretty hard unit to get through. They do have the barrier boost, which gives them a ton of regen on the barrier whenever there's a spell being used. I would probably start using some blue fires on Cetra here. Cetra's a little isolated and could definitely get hammered down by that right now. Blues are crumbling out, unfortunately. That demonic instability really hurting them. Flesh Hounds locked in combat here. Definitely going to go down to the Tomb Guard and the Spears. They just can't push through that. The bony boys are a little too thick for the liking. Sour Guts trying to shoot the Sphinx. Sphinx is doing pretty damn good so far, and the Tomb Kings are holding in here pretty nicely. Once the Fiends get away from this Ushabti summon, though, if they can surround Cetra, that should be game pretty much. Usirian's just getting used over and over and over again on the Festering Stooges down here. Have taken so much damage. Looking very, very weak and vulnerable currently. Chosen of the Gods, though, very isolated out here on the flank. And a good jump with some Flesh Hounds gets right on top of those guys. Flesh Hounds do pretty good damage to Ushabti bows. And we do have another Flesh Hound unit moving in to try and get some big damage down. Festering Stooges might go offline before they can really get any use out of their healing. They've just been pounded by Cetra and Usirians, as well as getting attacked by all of these Tomb Guard and Skeleton Warriors. They've slowly been losing here. But Cetra is on death's bed, and with the Angels of Decay out here, they might be able to finish off the Lord. Pizzo has a little bit of a value lead. Neither side is super reliant on healing. Oh, and the Plague Bears finally move up into combat. Very good patience with them, just keeping them in the trees and in the deploy zones for a very long time, waiting for an opportunity to pounce on that number one. They should be able to grind through all of the skeletons there. Cetra looking pretty weak, again about to go down. Flesh Hounds do get peeled off of the Chosen of the Gods, very good response. With all the horsemen, man, they just came swarming out of the spawn zones to respond to that back pressure. And number 3 does get capped away from the demons. But Cetra is being pounded by the Plague Drones. Angels of Decay are such a good unit. And his leadership does break unless he stabilizes back here somehow. He's probably going to crumble out before the before all is said and done. Blue Fire going to be helping him on his way. Big damage, man. Owie. Definitely an overcast. And the Herald's done great work. 1200 value. Hanging on to the number 2 with the Nurglings here. The Broliker's Bubonic, no less. You do have the damage reflection and a little bit of healing on them. They're pretty hard to kill without blowing your own units up. Plague Bearers are going to cap away the number 1, but Skeleton Chariots should do good work to them. I would focus on trying to get a Flesh Hound out to try and respond to those. Flesh Hounds are pretty good at stopping up chariot charges. Blue Horrors and the Sour Guts looking to counterfire all of the Skeleton Horse Archers that are left. They've taken some pretty big damage so far. Plague Drones looking to get after the Chosen of the Gods here, who are running and trying to post up now. Gonna take some serious work from those grenades that these Plague Drones throw in, though. 600 value on them, and they're flying overhead. Trying to move away from the missile fire, and then maybe landing with the Furies here in a moment. We'll see about it, though. There are Skeleton Chariots waiting for that dive, though. Pizzo would be very well advised not to attempt it. and does actually focus on moving on to the skeleton horse archers here. And just leaving the plague drones to work these guys down with the chariots, just have to sit there fruitlessly, is really nice for the demons. Hanging on to the number 1. The number 2 is held on to as well. This is starting to flip a little bit to the Tomb Kings. The chariots are finally starting to get some good damage in. They flattened this one plague bearer. They're getting onto the flank of the other. Plague toads coming in. Those are also a pretty good option. Oh, and a good pink fire, wrecking those skeleton spearmen, man. Such a strong spell. 16 non-AP damage, but against skellies, they've only got the 20 armor. That's not going to mitigate much of anything at all, so it's a really good spell for chewing through all the chaff. Sour Guts have gotten great value. They're up to 1,400, but the Furies getting flattened by the chariots. These chariots are so brutal, man. Such a good counter to the Furies that Chaos really likes to bring out. Angels of Decay maybe looking to kill the chariots. Just avoiding the Sphinx of Uskaf up to this point. Not a bad call. Gets a good blue fire off. I wonder how much magic is left for the demons. They've done a pretty good job with it up to this point. It's gotten a lot of good value for the Herald. But without access to it, the Herald's going to be a little bit lackluster. Just flying around on the disc. Doesn't actually do a lot of combat damage. Plague Toads and the Plague Bears do finish off the chariots on the number 1. Tomb Kings look like they're on the way out the door here. They've fallen behind on points up to this point now. They're double capped. They've got next to nothing left on the field. Skeleton Horsemen trying to respond, some Skeleton Warriors coming out. Sphinx is doing its best to carry here, but it's not finding a lot of success against the targets that are out here on the field. Just denying it value by bringing a Flying Lord who doesn't really need to land and do much of anything outside of casting is a pretty good way to get around having this big monster on the field. It's done good damage to infantry, but if it's being used against infantry the whole game, that's really not that great for the Tomb Kings. Horsemen, probably not going to be able to beat the Plague Toads. Plague Toads are okay against cavalry, especially lightly armored cav with bad stats like this. They just have good AP values and weapon strength. Decent melee defense, as well as the poison, usually makes them more than a match for the Skelly Horseman swarms. Fiends and everything fighting in the middle. We'll get a nice little close-up here. There's not a lot going on elsewhere on the battlefield. Tomb Kings are basically all-inning onto the points. If you're at this stage as the Tomb Kings, the game's basically over for you. Especially without your Lord on the field, and with the Sphinx of Uskaf not really able to grind out a bunch of value. It's really not a good situation here. Fiends did get a nice little surround here. They might be able to start chipping through the HP on this guy. Beautiful pink fire yet again. I mean, just look how much damage it's done to all of these swarms of warriors, man. You can maybe dispatch the tattered Plague Bearer to the high ground. Wouldn't be a bad idea, but Bloodletters are pressuring the number 3, and just hanging on to the number 1 with the 2 Plague Bearers should be fine. You will probably lose this objective just with how many Skeleton Warriors are moving up onto the point here. I like the aggressive land with the Herald to some extent, but losing this guy would be the absolute death of you, and the Sphinx is still available to try and countercharge him. But having some trouble getting away from the remaining Angels of Decay and the Plague Toads here, who do have pretty good master keeping this guy locked in combat. Plague Toads move into the low ground to help out the Bloodletters, trying to capture this point away from the Tomb Kings. Horse Archers did move back out onto the field. They should be able to do some good work. Sphinx, though, finally getting fully surrounded by the Fiends here. And that's probably going to be GG for that big old Sphinx. And I don't imagine going to be able to pull away. A lot of mass in the front of it. And the devastating flanker from the Fiends should be proccing. And they've gotten some nice value here. Blue Horrors coming out, getting some good shots in. Finally crumbling out the Sphinx. And the Skeleton Warriors are looking pretty beat up here, all things considered. Herald probably just saving up for like a pink fire or something,
One of your units has been
which should be able to
destroyed.
finish off most of those infantry units. Plague drones got great value, 1,800 on them. Fiends with 2,000 up to this point. Fleshhounds coming out. We'll see where they're going. This isn't a terrible fight because it's mostly warriors.
Unending glory is
The
yours.
spears are going to be able to do good damage, but it is game over anyways. Very nicely done by Pizu. Great Lord choice here. The Festering Stooges were very much the odd man out in this build. They just got isolated on that low ground objective, and their passive healing is really strong. But when you've got a very good infantry clearing monster on the field in the form of Cetra, as well as having Usirian's Vengeance all bundled up into one, it's a very dead elite infantry unit, even despite all the good healing and defensive stats that they've got access to. Good value on everything else in the demon roster, though. Lots of damage done by the Plague Bearers, who did a very good job of holding on to the number 1. Herald just cleared out all of the chaff, pretty much. Did some good damage to Cetra as well. The Fleshhounds were a little bit lackluster here. They didn't get a lot of value. They were sent in to lock stuff up in combat, though. Did a pretty good job of keeping things offline until the time came for the Plague Drones to come out and really shut down the Chosen of the Gods, as well as Cetra, who I believe they killed both of those units. I know they killed the Chosen of the Gods. Oh, no. Cetra got finished off by the Herald, but they did some pretty significant damage to him, nonetheless. Nicely done, Pizu. Very well-deserved win there. Love to see demons get played. They're a pretty damn good faction. Especially against lightly armored undead. I find they do a pretty good job of clearing through all of those very sticky units. I think Tomb Kings might have won if they had gone wider, maybe. It's kind of tricky, though. The Sphinx is your best bet against a lot of the other Lord options that the Demons of Chaos have. Like, if you were to see the, whatchamacallit guy. Grand Vomitus is another decent option against the Tomb Kings. What is the lord that you see the most from the demons, though? I mean, oftentimes you just see a regular old Exalted Lord of Change. These guys are pretty expensive, but they're also pretty good in combat. So they're not bad against the Tomb Kings. Caress is another option that I've seen against the Tomb Kings, who's very good at killing Cetra, just because of the armor sundering with the bonus versus large here. Can get a lot of damage down onto him. Yeah, horrors struggle into the shields for sure, but they do an okay job of scrapping at least. Like, their stats compared to a skeleton warrior are pretty equivalent, which isn't great, but they at least have a little more melee attack than the spears and the warriors. And they've also got physical resistance, which means that they're, just that little bit extra durable through the damage that skeleton warriors can do. You did a really good job of shooting up the constructs, though. That was huge. That definitely clinched the game for you. Thought I fixed the points, but I guess I need to go and readjust. Boop. We'll save that there. Cool. So I have no way into the top 4 at all. Like, even though it's a small tournament and I probably could have gotten in on 2 wins, I got a bye last round. So that's it for me. I can get 1 win under my belt. So we'll just focus on ending it out strong, and then we'll work on getting through the semis and the finals. We've just got Via and Son of Heaven finishing up there. Both of whom are currently undefeated. Once that resolves, though, somebody's going to have to drop a game here and go back to relying on their skills to get themselves into the top 4, because it's going to be really tight here for the last couple of spots, probably. Via's probably... Whoever wins the match between Via and Son of Heaven pretty much guaranteed a top spot there. Shaftesbury, not too far behind. Lost a very close game against Via, would be my guess, in round 1. And will be a really good rematch in the semis to the finals, potentially. We'll go ahead and start working on my build. We're bringing in Exalted Bloodthirster again. I don't care. We're going to make it work. I'm going to figure out how to use this guy. I know it's a good Lord option. I've had pretty good success with it before. I'm just not playing very well today. Just am so incredibly rusty. I need to do a better job of microing my units around. Yeah, check back in for it later, Pizu. I don't have a lot of notes for you, though. You played a really great game. And I don't think there was really anything you could have done differently, except for leaving the Festering Stooges up on the high ground, maybe. But, I don't know. I mean, getting them into combat is just about the best thing you can do for them. They just kind of got isolated on the low ground with all of the magic used on them. And source of damage. That's a little unavoidable sometimes with elite infantry. Elite infantry either do well or they don't, and they lose. Maybe we could bring something really crazy. Depends on what our opponent is going to be going with, faction-wise. It took Cetra 2 years to kill them from the other side of the matchup. Isn't that just the way it goes? Your opponent kills your unkillable elite infantry in like 2 minutes flat, and then when you're playing into the matchup, you just can never finish them. I mean, to be fair, Greenskin was doing an amazing job of focusing Usurians on them. Yeah, that's probably the saving grace. I mean, better that the Festering Stooges take as long for them to get killed as they did than Cetra to just go absolutely bananas through the ranged units that you had. Alright, we'll advance the Swiss, and I'm not... Damn. Who is also down here in the pits? I would really like to play a game. You know what? Whatever. We'll just cast another match. We'll do via Anime and Pizu, since they're up here at the top. That's very hilarious. I got to play 2 losses and no other games, but I guess that's what happens when you've got a smallish tournament. Who is Via playing? Chaos Dowie, Raki. Actually, I have no idea. Oh, Kislev. Wow, Kislev. Okay. Very cool. We'll get to see some Demons versus Kislev. That's a pretty decent matchup for the Demons. Kislev does have pretty good tools, though, in return. They got a lot of cavalry that are very good against lightly armored units, so... Via is good with the Cav Micro. Might be able to just flatten Pizu's army. We'll also message Via. I swear, why do I... Okay. Well, fair enough. I need to adjust all my noties on Discord. I usually just mute them, but it's still supposed to send me push notifications, so I can actually see them, instead of all this nonsense where I just see everything 5 minutes after the fact. What's the password? Hello? The, forbidden password. No, it's not that either. Alright, whatever. We'll wait. I did... Alright, whatever. Whatever. Apparently I can't type 123 in without fucking it up, so... It is what it is. Alright, Decrepit Moor's not a bad map for either of these factions. It's probably going to favor Kislev a little more, just because they can bring out better artillery and protect it from their back objective pretty easily. I don't know if a little Grom is that great against demons, though. Oh, never mind. Is it Road to Talabheim? Oh, yeah, Decrepit Moor is the semis, okay. Makes sense. We'll see if the intrepid Kislevites are able to stop the rampage of the demons, who have... Pizu's been doing a really good job the last couple of games. Played very clean against the Tomb Kings, which was another very strong missile faction. And probably one of the better factions overall against the Demons of Chaos, usually. We can go take a look at the current matchup statistics and see for ourselves. Tomb Kings are down here. Oh, 0-3 against the Chaos Demons. Damn, it's flipped around a lot from last season where it was pretty even, if not favored for Tomb Kings. Yeah, 3-3. And then the more involved season here. Tomb Kings are all the way up here. Still pretty even. Clicking on the wrong stuff, too. Look at Tomb Kings, though. I mean, they've been pretty low down. Kind of a Pit Lord faction for a while, but then they got some buffs, and then people picked them up and started playing really well with them, and now they've kind of gotten back to the middle of the pack where they belong, I think. They've got really good matchups, like against Beastmen, which is awesome, because Beastmen are one of the stronger factions in the game right now. They're kind of anti-meta in a regard, I guess. And you can see, struggle against the Dowie. Tzeentch, I guess, makes sense. Wood Elves, I don't know. Wood Elves are tough for the Tomb Kings, but you can spam out so many shielded infantry. If you can get the Wood Elves to have to fire into the shields, it can take forever for them to clear all the chaff out, and then you can jump in and do some serious work against the low armor of the Wood Elves, usually. Especially with your Horsemen. Skeleton Horsemen just feast against the Wood Elves, in my experience. You know what? Hold on a sec. I'm gonna kick y'all out again. I want to peek at the builds. Ooh. This is an interesting Kislev build. Oh, I know it. Yeah, this is going to be pretty rough for the demons if they're not prepared for it. Okay. Big and meaty. Via's readied up. Pizu's still figuring out the last couple of permutations for the build. We'll be kicking it off imminently, hopefully. Nobody's messaging me. It's been a very smooth tournament, which is nice. It would have been nice to have a few more signups, but I'm very happy with the player pool that we did get. Everybody has been playing really well today. See you on the other side, Pizu. Good luck. We'll cheer for our resident champion. Pizu will carry our name into the tournaments. Or into the semis and the finals, maybe. Exalted Flamer coming out with Shrieking Sky Rays. We do have the Herald up on the disc, I would presume. Probably a similar spell kit to last time around. Blue Fire and Pink Fire. Pink Fire will be very good at clearing out the Kislevite Warriors, if there are any that trot out, as well as doing good damage to Horse Archers. But against Armored Kossars and Streltsy, it's not really going to do a whole lot. Oh, never mind. Really nice switch up, actually. We do have the Tzeentch Herald, but with Metal Magic. So Searing Doom and Final Transmutation going to be the spell choices here. Chromatic Tome, as usual. Opal Amulet to reduce damage. And we've got the blue horror line going to be advancing with Nurglings behind it. And this is going to be a little awkward. We've got a Fleshhound. Not going to be doing some early damage against the Horse Archers. Horse Archers do get moved over, it looks like. Looks like Via is not 100% sure where to put the Horse Archers. Maybe a little bit afraid of putting them in the Vanguard, just in case. There are a lot of demonic units that have a Vanguard. Nurglings have Vanguard, the Fleshhounds have it. Furies do as well, so playing safer here, just keeping them with the main line and advancing from there. Zarina Katerin has Ice Maiden's Kiss, and that's it. Crystal Cloak for the damage resistance, and is on the sled here, which is just a disgusting tool for clearing out infantry and will destroy the entire front line of the demons if they're not able to shoot this chariot down. It's going to be really hard. It's got good mass. It's got 3,000 with great speed. It's almost as good as Cetra on the Sphinx in my experience. So, Shrieking Skyrays moving over. Fleshhound's taking a lot of damage from the Horse Archers early. Already dropping a model and losing about a third of their HP. Good damage going down on Katerin. A little bit of fire going in there. She loses about 400 HP, which really isn't too bad. And I don't recall if I saw a Patriarch. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of healing for Kislev. Zarina needs to be very careful. I don't think that was really worth it, all things considered. A little bit too aggressive in the opening from Via so far. Got a little bit of a value lead, but a lot of that is tied up more in the Fleshhounds. And some of it is probably also the shields on these blue horrors. Nice charge through the Nurglings, taking out several models. A lot of HP. Look at her go, man. Love to see it. Winged Lancers hammering home against the Nurglings as well. Blue Horror Fire trying to push back the Horse Archers, who are taking a little bit of poke, and a final transmutation going down. It's going to be disgusting. Oh, that's so brutal. Big damage. Definitely worth casting the upgraded version on SEs just to get that extra work done. Losing about 1,500 HP is Zarina there. Definitely not loving life. Decently functional still, though, with 5,000 HP. Is there going to be a Patriarch? Doesn't look like it. A little bit of fire going down from the Blue Horrors, but the Armored Kossars are going to massively outtrade them. Blue Horrors don't have any shields. They've got their little Halo Overshield, but the Silver Shields on the Armored Kossars, much more effective at mitigating the missile fire. One Nurgling already dead and gone. Lots of Winged Lancers out on the field, 2 of them so far. Like I said, they're going to be very good at hammering home against the lightly armored demon units, even without the magic damage. Searing Doom coming down onto the Armored Kossars. Doing a little bit of damage, not the most in the world though. They were a little spread out on that one, a little funkily. So, could have gotten a little bit more done. Pizu's doing a pretty good job of trading early on, but the Armored Kossar line is getting so much damage done. Already taking down multiple Nurglings, 1 Blue Horror. We've got more movement on the back here. Fleshhound's trying to do a little bit of something, get a good charge off on the Horse Archers here. Taking some pretty tremendous casualties in the process, though, and only gotten 800 value, and they're about to go down here for good. Another Searing Doom comes in, a little bit of damage on those Armored Kossars. Plague Toads getting through into the back line is really nice. The Shrieking Skyrays, though, not finding a lot of success. Going to be very vulnerable to the Horse Archer poke and the rear charges from the Winged Lancers. Do barely manage to get back up in the air. A couple of the models are stuck on the ground, though. And the Winged Lancers folding into combat might be able to kill those grounded Shrieking Skyrays. Full surround on this pocket of demonic units here, which is just going to be fat value for the Kislev forces. Armored Kossars being worn down on the middle objective here. Exalted Flamer getting a little bit of damage through, but not finding very clean firing lines up to this point. And more Searing Dooms coming down. Trying to win the infantry fight. I think, you know, it's kind of hard to say just because killing Zarina Katerin with Final Transmutation would be very strong. But if you don't have any infantry to hang on to your caps, it's going to be pretty pointless. And without the Searing Dooms, I think the Demons of Chaos would be in a much worse position than they already are in. They're doing a pretty good job now, though. They've gotten a lot of fire onto the Streltsy. Streltsy looking pretty thin. They've got 56 models left, but not a lot of HP. They should be going offline in a moment. Fiends hanging out here in the open field, pulling back, looking for an opportunity into the late game, maybe, to get some damage done. Really, this is a great Searing Doom. Hits the Winged Lancers, as well as the Armored Kossars. 1,000 value on the Herald. I'd be saving up for a Final Transmutation at this point, though, just to try and maybe finish off Zarina. The issue is that the Horse Archer core is very healthy, and Kislev's going to be able to bring out a lot of durable infantry against all of the blue horror fire. Now that a lot of the Kossars are off, you'd probably got a lot of them back in the pool, and they should be able to come out and do some pretty good damage. Zarina hasn't gotten a lot of value. Oh, and the Fiends are jumping on her now. If they get a good surround on her, they might be able to kill her here. She takes pretty serious damage from these guys, and they're very good at chasing down units like this, just because they're 90 speed. And they are debuffing the melee defense, which is already pretty low for this. But Kislefight Warriors coming in, probably going to be able to keep the Fiends from pushing through and staying on top of Zarina. But a few of them are pushing out, but Pizu does rally the horn for a full retreat there. Is going to be pulling away. Exalted Flamer still getting some good damage in. Such a good unit, man. Like, really cost-effective at times, too. It can squeak under the radar a lot of times. People underestimate how powerful of a unit this can be. Does miss its volley on the Kislevite Warriors a little bit, just because they're so spread out. And the Vortex really wasn't getting a lot of damage done there either. It's best to shoot into blobs with the Exalted Flamer. That's how you maximize the value on it. A lot like Skull Cannons. It's good at shooting stuff in the open field, but it can struggle a little bit if you aren't maximizing the density of enemy units. Fiends do pull out. A good shot from the Exalted Flamer and a Searing Doom goes down. Gets a little bit of damage, but the demons look like they're just about done here. Kislev just has way too many units left on the field. Even these tattered units, they've still got a decent number of models. And, you know, being ranged, really all that matters is the damage output that you can get from your missiles. So, they're getting a little damage in on the Herald. Probably going to be able to chip down the Exalted Flamer in combat here. We do get a Final Transmutation that does hit Katarine. Takes a ton of damage. Still got 1,000 though. She should just go to the back of the map now. And just hide. Not that it would hurt Kislev that much. You just don't really want to risk it just in case. Plague Toads and Fiends with some blue horrors. The Chromatic Abominations trying to help out. Chromatic Abominations, though, do get charged down by the Winged Lancers. They are going to be going down here, I think. Winged Lancer value looking pretty good. Nothing too extreme, but they've done a very good job of stuffing back a lot of the infantry and giving time for the Kossars and the Streltsy to get some good value. 1,000 there, 627 on this Kossar. I'm going to be interested to see how the others have done. Horse Archers haven't done a whole lot either, but I don't know where all the value for the Kislevite forces is tied up, honestly. Looks like they've just been very good at wearing down the leadership on the demons. And the demons just haven't been doing as much damage in return, and with all of their stuff crumbling out, that's a lot of damage that's not really accurately reflected. It's very punishing. Demonic Instability is brutal. It sucks to have to deal with, man. Demons do retake the number 3, but they are behind on the 2 and the 1. Kislev rallying its cavalry here. Little Grom out on the field, trying to shoot down the Fiends, which are a really good target for them. Streltsy and the Kossar should be able to get a couple of volleys off here, and maybe put these guys into crumbling. We've got Winged Lancers coming in, and a whiff from Little Grom, man. Very sad. Gotta hit your shots, bro. And come over here and scold this crew. These guys are heretics. Fiend's getting hammered down by the Winged Lancers. You get a nice isolation on this very isolated unit. Gonna take them out. Kislevites Warriors should be able to finish off the other Fiend. That's probably gonna be it. Frolicker's Bubonic with Plague Toads is just not going to be enough to be able to hold on to all these points. Kislev's got some cavalry they can throw in to block up the momentum of the Plague Toads. And the Streltsy, they're going to struggle a little bit in melee combat against the Toads. They still should be able to do enough damage to weaken them and leave the Kislevite forces in a position to finish off what remains of this Plague Toad, if it doesn't just die outright here. Serena with 400 HP hiding in the woods. Winged Lancers and Horse Archers overstretching themselves a little bit here. But Oath Brothers of Tor finally come out onto the field and are probably going to be able to start locking this down. Very, very strong unit with the magical attacks and bonus versus large. They'll be able to shred through the Plague Toads that are left on the field. And also do some pretty good shock damage to the Blue Horrors and the Bloodletters. Demons of Chaos trying to hang on to the number 3, not quite able to manage it. Number 2 is swinging in their favor, thanks to the Frolicker's Bubonic, who are hanging out on this point. Plague Toads did go down to all the shooting from the number 1 objective. Kossars and the Streltsy over here did some nice work. The Oath Brothers, man, 500 value, and they've only been out for a minute. They got a really nice use out of their bombardment ability. Call of Tor does some pretty good non-AP damage. And it imbues blindness, which is very punishing for just about everything. It only lasts 10 seconds on this use. 10 seconds, though, is more than enough to get some good damage in on Bloodletters, especially when all of their stats are just in the pits. Horse Archers looking to get on top of the Chromatic Abominations, who are firing in at the Oath Brothers here. Oath Brothers are going to be able to get locked in combat with those Chromatic Abominations, though. Should be able to beat them down without too much assistance. Chaos Furies getting onto the rear of the Oath Brothers. They should be able to do decent damage to the units on the rear of the Kislevite unit. But the damage from the Oath Brothers, with the 110 weapon strength, they should be able to kill individual Furies with each swing and put a little splash damage onto the models next to them and get some good work done that way. Nice Searing Doom. Demons are hanging in here. Really, honest-to-God, good scrap from Pizu. But the build just wasn't quite enough. It was not fully optimized for getting through all these armored infantry. And, you know, Kislev with its mobility is always hard in the late game, man. You really need to be up on Kislev to take a dub against them. Another great bombardment there. Call of Tor hammering the Chromatic Abominations, doing a little bit of damage to the Plague Toads, and both of those units were probably on their way out. Very, very good attempt by Pizu. Maybe with a little bit more focus on getting good shots out of the Exalted Flamer, it could have been evened up a little bit. This thing is damn strong. And I did see several shots from it that weren't hitting with full effect. And Kislev just had the opportunity all game to just kind of sit back and force the demons to play into their superior armor and mobility. I'm not 100% sure what you do against that, though. It's not easy. Not that class of player yet. Don't worry about it, Pizu. You almost had that game. I think it was the build was a little bit countered by Kislev here. They just had so much more durable shooting than you did. And all of the Kossars did well, except for one. Streltsy also got a lot of value. Horse Archer Corps ended up doing okay. The Winged Lancers hammered home, and the Oath Brothers of Tor were doing some big work at the end as well. So yeah, very equitable value on the Kislevite army. Yeah, I noticed that, and then the Flamer, Pizu, I noticed a couple of times when you were firing the Flamer, it was shooting at very spread out units. What tends to happen with that is they end up shooting into the middle of nowhere. And then they're just wasting shots. The Exalted Flamer is best firing into blobs. It can do some really disgusting work. When I played against Via, I got 700 value by the time he had 5,700. Dude, it happens to everybody. Via is very good at compounding on your errors. But if you can force Via to panic and overextend, that usually is where you can start to grind some really good value in against him. Doing that, though, is a little bit difficult, you know. You need to have the right build. I think just with the Exalted Flamer getting good damage early, maybe you could pressure the Kislevites to overextend themselves, and then you could drag them into your force. Where the Nurglings can, like, stop up the momentum of the infantry, as well as maybe looping around and getting on the rear of some cavalry who are trying to, like, charge down your horrors. And punish from there. Yeah, micro overload is real. That is something that people don't talk about enough. A lot of people want to talk about, oh, you need to micro better, or, you know, you need to do X, Y, Z. But sometimes there just isn't enough time to get everything done that you need on the field. Like, moving everything around, juggling all your abilities and cooldowns, and trying to figure out exactly what you need where, can be very overwhelming. That's why domination mode is so difficult. It just takes a lot of brain power. If you're not on top of your game, you can fall behind really quickly, which is why I see and love this mode so much, why I see so many upsets in it. You know, if you're on your game, you're on your game, and you can take anybody on. Alright, so what is the top 4 going to be looking like? Oh, Pizu, God, that sucks. Missing out on the top 4 here by 1 freaking point. We'll flip over and you can see the top 4 here. So we've got Via Anime Undefeated, who is assuredly going to be the favorite to take the tournament today. Son of Heaven with 3 dubs. Shaftesbury with 2 but 9 op points. Navigator with 2 and 8 op points here. And Pizu just behind the both of them with 7. Rip. Really nice try, though, man. You almost had it. It doesn't help that your round 2 opponent dipped without getting a win. That's never a good sign when you have an opponent that leaves after your game. Usually ends up putting you in a situation where you just can't quite squeak in over other people. I'm a noob trying to play against other noobs. The replays are hilarious. Send them to me. I'll give you advice. Like, that's what I've been doing a lot of, is just casting lately. Obviously, I need to get back into actually playing the game because I'm rusty as hell. I really did not make a good showing of it today. Shaftesbury was a very close game, and I think I probably could have taken that with a little bit more focused play on my end. Alright, we're going to advance the top 4, guys. I'll ping everybody. Look, just getting started in multiplayer and accepting that you're going to have rough spots is what it is. Do not come into the multiplayer and play to win. Just play to learn. That's the best thing you can do, because that's how you'll improve the most. Have absolutely zero ego, and don't be afraid to watch your losses back, because oftentimes that's where you'll see the most obvious fixable mistakes that you're making. Even against other new players, but especially against more experienced people than you, always watch those replays back and see where they were maximizing their value while you might have been falling behind. Okay. So, at Via, at Shaft and our other fellow top 4 players are going to be getting in here and getting some games rolling in just a second. Who's the last person? How the hell have I already forgotten that? Oh yeah, Navigator. Perfect. What's up, Via? How's it going? What you need to be looking for in matches that you lose is where you're mispositioning units more often than not. Like, see where your opponent is just, like, racking up tons of value against them, and just think about how exactly they're pulling that off. Whether it's your units in melee being overextended and pulled out of position, or them just getting very clean missile micro and massively outvalue trading you at range before you even get locked in combat. That can give you the easiest path to understanding how exactly you're losing. Try something other than Unga Bunga today. That's a pretty good philosophy to have, Via. I went with Korn and went Unga Bunga and was trying out the Bloodthirster. And we lost our first 2 games. Really rough against the Tomb Kings and a really close loss against the Lizards. And then I got 2 bye rounds, which was sad. I really wished I had been able to get some more games in, but it is what it is. I'm happy to cast. Yeah, see you after the game, man. And I would love to actually cast your game. So, we'll ask here. And what's the bracket looking like for the top 4? Who is on what side? Son of Heaven and Shaft are playing, and Navigator and Via Anime. I think Navigator lost in round 1 to Via. So a rematch? Oh no, Pizu and Navigator played round 1. No rematches here? Okay, fair enough. We've got people facing off who didn't even play in bracket, it looks like. Which is always nice, instead of just getting a bunch of the same matchups over and over again. Sweet. Alright. Let's go find Navigator. Who's hosting the match? We got a lizard mirror match on the other side. That might honestly not be a bad matchup to watch, truthfully. Like, lizards have a very versatile roster. I like mirror matches. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that. I think there's boring ones for sure. But a lot of people are very unpracticed in the mirror matches, and you see some wild shit come in. So, send me the replay at the very least. The only mirror match that I genuinely don't like watching is, like, Nurgle, Vampire Counts, factions that just have, like, tons of healing and are very blobby. That is very boring to watch, but Lizards are okay, and some of the other ones also tend to be pretty exciting. Like Khorne, Lizardmen, Warriors of Chaos. Trying to think who else would be a really fun mirror match to watch. Those three certainly, just because they have such big rosters. Oh, Skaven are a fun mirror match. Empire is also pretty fun. I'm trying to think of who else that it would be pretty entertaining to see in a mirror. Beastmen could be fun, but oftentimes it's just like, you know, Senti swarms on both sides, so it's not very, varied. Dowie are another pretty boring mirror match, because they just waddle around and fire missiles at each other all game. High Elves are a good mirror match. You can see some wild stuff there. And, you know, probably Chaos Demons, too. That'd be a fun one. Alright, Navi's readied up. Via is finishing up the build here, I would presume. Shouldn't be too much longer. We thought that Decrepit Moor was going to be the map for the Kislev Demons of Chaos matchup. Ended up not being the case, but here for the semis, the same thing applies. The side with stronger artillery is going to benefit a little bit more from having a home objective, which in this case is going to be the Chaos Dally. They've got much better artillery tools than Kislev does. And on this map, they might be able to hide a Death Shriek behind the big shot blocker, which is right where my cursor is. There's a forest and then a big mausoleum. You can maybe stick the Death Shriek, like, back here. And then it would take forever for Kislev to position a little Grom to shoot at it. And you can drop fire onto the objectives from there pretty easily and probably be able to do some significant damage. But Kislev does have pretty good pressure tools, so they might be able to take something like that offline without too much of an issue. This is not a matchup that I've seen very often, so I don't have a ton of insight into this beyond just knowing who the players are and how they tend to operate and perform. You know, Via mentioned it here in chat, usually plays Chaos factions, which are very aggressive. Playing Kislev today is a much different beast. Kislev can go very heavy metal and just bring, like, full, like, swarming type of builds with lots of winged lancers in the opening with good quality infantry behind it. But typically gun lines are their most effective play style, and against the Chaos Dowie, who have a little bit, like I said, a little bit better artillery and also equally good shooting, I'm not sure who's going to come out on top here. There's also trains, and the Chaos Dowie trains are very strong against armored Kossars. Even Kislevite warriors struggle against the Iron Demons, because Iron Demons have tons of mass, and while Kislevite warriors can do some decent damage with the halberds, if the trains aren't stuck in the middle of them, they're not going to be able to get a lot done. I'm going to flip away here and take a little sneak peek at the armies. Pretty understandable choice for the Chaos Dowie with their Lord option, as well as most of their army here. Here we go. Kicking it off. So we do have Boris Ursus, of all people, coming in for Kislev. With the Frostmaiden Chaos Dowie warriors, as well as Fireglaves. Just whatever ends up waddling out onto the field is going to be very vulnerable to this. This is one of the strongest Vortex spells in the game. Just disgusting amounts of damage to heavily armored infantry. Chaos Dowie obviously don't have the spell resistance that their lawful good brethren have. It's a lot of Kislevite warriors. They'll be pretty squishy to Burning Heads or Hobgoblin Archers, who should be able to put some pretty good fire down on them. Well, we do have a lot of things in the woods as well, so this is actually a very aggressive Kislev build, all things considered. Not nearly as much shooting as I would have thought they'd bring in. A couple horse archers, and then just tons of these things in the woods and Kislevites warriors. Love the aesthetics of the forest on this map, too. It's pretty cool. Just all the way down the line, we've got just tons of angry anti-armor stuff. You know, the things in the woods are pretty good against Iron Demons, honestly. They've got good mass, 1,500 on each model. Good melee attack and armor-piercing values. They might be able to knock over any of the Iron Demons. Chaos Dowie don't have a lot to stop Kislev in the opening. That's very true, but it's not often that you see Kislev not bring any gunline units. If the Death Shriekers are able to survive and stay online, they should be able to mulch through the Kislevite warriors with the spread fire mode. Because it's really hard. It's very devastating, even on spread out units. Sorcerer Prophet of Metal has Searing Doom and Final Transmutation. Boris Ursus is certainly a choice. I mean, I think this guy is here for the trains as well. Just bringing Fury of Urson and the Shardblade. Shardblade's very good at damaging single entities in a radius around it. It also lowers speed pretty significantly. It's like a juicy Spirit Leech, basically. How much is the radius on this? 15 meters. Which is pretty appropriate, I think. We'll see what he can do. If he gets on top of the Death Shriekers, like, gets up here, and somehow gets between the both of them and is able to pop it, he'll do fat damage to these things. I doubt that will happen, though. I'd be very surprised. Horse Archers and the Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders exchanging a few volleys here in the opening. Blazing Beers of Basharik gonna be moving up. They will absolutely dumpster the Kislevite Warrior front line with their blasting charges. And they got 2 volleys, so they can get some good damage done there. Horse Archers take a little damage from the Death Shriekers. Death Shriekers don't have to do a whole lot. There's no artillery coming out, no little Grom or anything from the Kislevites. And we'll probably be able to fire pretty uncontested most of the game. Considering Kislev's lack of range tools in the field, I don't imagine there's going to be much of an effort to get onto these units back here, and more just going to focus on value trading and winning in the front line, and then holding on to the objectives. Volleys from the Wolf Raiders, missing a little bit, take a nasty volley in return. Pretty even so far. Via Anime with a little bit of a value lead. Not 100% sure where that's coming through from, but I guess it's just on the Sorcerer Prophet of Metal who's taking a little poke. And a really good job of kiting out the Death Shrieker shots there. You know, you can dodge with infantry. You've probably seen the AI do it in your campaigns. You can do it here, even without too much effort. You just have to pay attention to where the shots are landing. You can see there, very good job of getting away from those Death Shrieker volleys. The way you counteract your opponent microing their infantry away from your artillery shots, the best thing that you can do, one, you can pull the artillery forward a little, which does come with some risks, but honestly, what you really need to do is just swap up your targets, because once you're aiming at something, your opponent's going to be like paying attention to where the shots are coming in, and they're going to be watching those units for further volleys. Demolisher rockets coming in. These are much better at tracking. They do hit Boris Ursus here. He takes one shot, but dodges out of the way of the other, and the Chaos Dowie are going to get absolutely run over if they don't get any value out of their Death Shriek rockets there. Blazing Beards of Basharik also get just absolutely flattened by that blizzard. Look at the damage on that. Oh my god, from 100 to 0 basically, and the things in the woods took a lot of damage in return, but they're going to be able to push right through and get on the rear of the other Chaos Dwarf Warriors and get some very cost-effective value in. Kislevite warriors pushing right up onto the home objective. No fear from the Kislevites so far. Boris Ursus just trying to kite out the missiles. God, just so clean on the micro from Via Anime, and that's brutal, man. How's that for a counter? Not even worrying about trying to shut down the artillery. Just relying on raw micro power to dodge out of the way of all of those shots. Bull Centaur renders moving in to get after the things in the woods. Chaos Dowie have got to be feeling the pressure here. They get charged down by the Winged Lancers and the Kislevite Warriors. Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders taking some big casualties there. Gonna be moving back. Via with a nice value lead. More Death Shrieker volleys missing there. While the Bull Centaur renders coming out and getting some good damage in here. We do have a very dead Kislevite Warrior here. But in the backfield, Via's gotten this Kislevite Warrior right up into the grill of the Death Shrieker rockets. A little bit of a quicker collapse, and they might have been able to get on top of those. They'd shred a Death Shrieker in no time flat. Finally, a couple of Death Shrieker volleys landing clean, but the Chaos Dowie are looking pretty bare bones now. I mean, they got all of their infantry on the middle objective killed. Blazing Beards of Basharic went down in no time flat. The other Chaos Dowie warrior over here also going the way of the Dodo. Goblin Laborers on the run. And we've got the Wolf Raiders looking to get a little bit of something done. Not having a lot of success so far. And the Kislevite Warriors on top of the Death Shrieker, which is going to be going down here unless Navi gets this thing out of that blob, which it really doesn't want to be stuck in. Beautiful Shard Blade coming down onto the Sorcerer Prophet of Metal. He's taking some serious damage from Boris Ursus, who's contributing very nicely here finally. Only 400 gold value damage, but doing enough to occupy the attention of all of the artillery to make up for any like lackluster performance when it comes to actually doing damage. Finally has a target worth fighting. Going to be very good against the train. If you can actually catch it, it has Frostbite here. And one more Shard Blade in the pocket, which can be used in a little bit. Should be able to start chewing through the HP on the Iron Demon. Bull Centaur renders looking pretty sauced and angry right now. Might be able to help peel so that the train can get freed up here. But struggling to secure the backfield. The Chaos Dowie are very isolated and pushed back on their number 2 objective here. They've lost one of the Death Shrieker rockets here. You can see the things in the woods flipped it over like a like Canadian hockey fans after the Vancouver or Toronto Maple Leafs lose yet another Stanley Cup. Just your average day on the wild streets of Canada. Death Shrieker rockets continuing to try and get some value off. Only 460 here. It's a very expensive artillery piece to not have gotten much of anything done yet. And yeah, I mean, we kind of called it here. I don't remember who exactly said it, but there really wasn't a lot on the field available for the Chaos Dowie to press back the Kislevites, and Kislev is bringing out all their missiles now. They started off with all the Kislevite warriors and things in the woods. Now that they're a little bit more free, they're bringing up the Streltsy and the Kosovo, or the Armored Kossars, who are getting their pistols and armor-piercing shots in on the train. Fat value from the Streltsy so far. 800 value on those guys. Firing only 4 volleys off so far. Love to see it, man. Another Iron Demon coming out, looking to get some good damage off. Another Blizzard goes down to clear out the Hobgoblin Cutthroats that are out here. The Kislevite Warriors have finally been pushed away, and we do have a very vulnerable Death Shrieker back here. I wasn't expecting Kislev to go for this, but Via Anime showing the micro chops and recognizing an opportunity when it's presented. Getting back here with the Kislevite Warrior after the Chaos Dowie just kind of let them waddle through the front line. And they were able to kill one of the Death Shriekers and get the other pretty beat up here. Sorcerer Prophet of Metal looking for opportunities, but not finding a whole lot to work with. 2100 value is great. Dropping Final Transmutations on Boris and also some Searing Dooms. But not getting a lot of healing from the Chalice of Blood and Darkness. This is usually what you see against the Chaos Dowie, since you know they're probably going to be bringing the Bale Taurus character with the heal whenever you're casting, you just bring really expensive high damage spells and use them against the infantry. And you focus on value trading as evenly as possible in the mobility game. But Kislev's losing some momentum here. Is this the resurgence of the Chaos Dwarves? They're getting all over the missile line here. They've taken down the Streltsy. These armored Kossars are going down. Hobgoblin Cutthroats with the Wolf Raiders doing a pretty good job of pushing back some more of the Kossars. Deathshriekers, though, just still not able to get any accurate fire down onto the infantry corps for Kislev. Kislev is getting a pretty good value ticket lead as well. Barely hanging on to the value lead is what I was trying to say. We do have the Iron Demon getting some really good work done. Has gotten some great side charges. Finally a good Death Shrieker volley there. Gets some big damage. Kislev's got just a handful of scattered units all over the field. Some of these need to be unsummoned. And looks like we've got a Kossovite Dervish going for the end run, looking to get after the Death Shrieker rocket, which I do think is worth it. It's got 6 shots left. Hasn't gotten a lot done up to this point, but just a couple of volleys from it can do some big damage. And Kislev really needs to keep some infantry out on the field because we have tons of garbage coming out from the Chaos Dowie, backed up by one decent unit in the Infernal Guard Great Weapons, who are very good AP values and good defensive stats. They should be able to grind through any winged Kossars or anything that come back there. Oath Brothers of Tor out on the field looking to save Little Grom, who is getting bullied by the Sorcerer Prophet right now. Very good micro, pulling that back up into the air from Navi. He's keeping this game very close and very competitive. Death Shrieker has to get help now, though. 1,900 supplies in the bank. A Bull Centaur Render wouldn't be a bad call here. Would definitely be able to probably catch some of these dervishes on the charge while they're locked in combat against the Death Shrieker. Give you a good opportunity to maybe rally back and get some good damage in here. Hashut's Dark Ravagers are the choice, actually. Very fun unit, man. Decent missile resist, Fizz Res as well with the missiles. Very short range missile, but it's devastating. Cleaves through everything. They can get their shots on target. Goblin Laborers and the Infernal Guard getting nailed by Blizzard, just taking oodles of damage. Look how much work it does, man. These guys had pretty much 80% of their HP, and now they're dead. That hurts, man. That's just brutal, brutal damage. 399 kills on the Frost Maiden, folks. Jesus. Oh my god. Ow. That's a big feels bad. Sometimes you're not ready for your enemy's magic to be doing this much work. But those blizzards, in conjunction with the solid micro on everything else in the battlefield, has definitely given Kislev the juice they need to maybe clean up the #1 objective. They just need to get some stuff up on to hold this point, and then they can always use the mobility to counteract any pressure onto the back objective here. And that should be all Kislev needs to win this game. The Death Shrieks have been pretty much useless. They really haven't been able to get a lot of value. Via Anime has been so on point with the micro, dodging those shots. It's been really nice to see. Boris Ursus is hanging out here in the back. Doesn't have any Shard Blades left, but looks like he's willing to get into fisticuffs to try and save the Little Grom, but it looks like it was a bait to pull him in for a final transmutation, overcasting it just to guarantee the kill here. Boris Ursus goes down. Is leadership going to be enough of an issue to get the Chaos Dowie back in this game, man? No, the Blizzards were fat. I mean, 2,000 value just about. It's really the fact that there's 399 kills here. And that's on Blazing Beards of Basharik, Chaos Dowie Warriors, the Infernal Iron Guard, and those Goblin Laborers got one shot by an overcast Blizzard. It was just amazing. Really, really good attention to detail from Via on the casting and on the anti-artillery micro. Death Shrieker does go down. Ladies and gentlemen, a second Death Shrieker has been flipped over by enraged Russians. And, or I guess Slavs, not really just Russia. It's more like an amalgamation of all the Slavic cultures in Eastern Europe. So, they're pissed off. They have, words to share with the angriest Short Kings in the, Old Realms. Hashit's Dark Ravagers do save this infantry position from being buffered off of the #1 objective for the rest of the game. They are going to be able to get back up on here, but I don't think they've got enough time to be able to cap the objectives. And Kislev has way too much out here pressuring the home objective of Chaos Dowie to be able to get the triple cap in. We do have a Oath Brothers of Tor art ability coming down here, blinding the Chaos Dwarf Warriors, and a great collapse from the Winged Lancers and the Dervishes. Probably going to be able to break the leadership on these guys. Barely hanging in here. Oh, these are the bravest Chaos Dowie Warriors I've ever seen, man. They've actually gotten okay value. I've never really enjoyed the Chaos Dowie Warriors. I never find them value trading effectively. They just almost always end up being a huge waste of effort. And you can bring like 1 or 2 to like stiffen up the resolve of your hobgoblins and stuff, but usually going cheap in the front line ends up being better for the Chaos Dowie. Then you want to rely on your fire glaives and stuff to be doing the real heavy lifting. Infernal Guard fire glaives, they would have been very risky. God, dude, I mean, Vio pretty much won this game by avoiding the fire from the Death Shriekers and just getting so much value on the Blizzards, man. I mean, if you look at the rest of the army, there isn't really tremendous standout performances outside of these 2 things in the woods. And this one Kislev warrior must have killed a train on their own. 1,500 value on them. But Winged Lancers were fine. Streltsy did okay. Little Grom did well also. I really do think, though, that the Frost Maiden being able to clear the infantry off of that middle point so early, and Kislev being able to take that very dominant early position on the battlefield and on the ticket front is kind of what won them this game. And that second wind of Chowie Warriors moving up onto the point is just so fat. I mean, they dropped a Blizzard right on top of this Infernal Guard, and I think it was a Goblin Laborer. And the Goblin Laborers, killing them is whatever, but the 1,000 damage that they did to the freaking Infernal Guard Great Weapon was pretty clutch, because that cleared that objective right back up when, you know, Kislev was looking pretty thin on the infantry front. Okay, that's why we saw Boris Ursus, then. Yeah, Boris doesn't have a rampage. He's just got the Fury of Urson, which gives him the weapon strength in exchange for enraging himself. That would be pretty nice, though, wouldn't it? Boris Ursus is okay. He just isn't all that good because doesn't have any healing for himself. His abilities are fine. Shardblade's good. He's probably better on the Warhorse because he's a little bit cheaper. And then you still get use out of the good ability, and he's a little bit faster. No, wait, why is the Bear quicker? That's crazy. So never mind on that. Bear is a straight upgrade over the Warhorse, but I still think going a little cheaper on him would be better if you are going to bring him. But, I don't know. Other than the choice of Boris, there's really nothing to say about that Kislev build. It was clean as hell. The dodges were fat. It was so good. Like, really well done, Via. Yeah, what's up, Ninja? Sorry, we were gabbing about that game. Gushing over the performance from Kislev there. Alright. The other side of the bracket looks to be done as well, so we'll see who is in the top spots here for the finals. Son of Heaven and Via. Shaftesbury goes down in the mirror match. Very unfortunate. What Lord then? I don't know. I mean, probably, you could probably just bring the Ice Witch or the Tempest Witch with Blizzard, and that would be fine. I mean, unless you're counting on Boris to also fight trains. Yeah, Ice Witch on the Lizard. I imagine that would be just uber cost effective, because then she can yeah, that would be perfect because she's fast. She can stay away from the Lord pretty easily. You still get to bring Blizzard. I imagine you really only need this, and then you can just go wider. Because then you're not paying the, like, 400 or 500 or 600 extra gold it was for Boris and the Frost Maiden. If you need to, you can send her into dual trains, and you can just keep her safe until she needs to come out and drop the big nuke. Or you can just bring her on the Warhorse. Dude, I swear to God, man, the best Lord for Kislev is these Ice Witches on the Warhorses. They're really hard to catch. And the Lures of Magic are so good for Kislev. Lure of Ice has some good spells. Tempest, we just saw what Blizzard can do. Hailstorm isn't bad either. There's some interesting little combos you can do with, like, Hawks of Miska and then trying to, like, leadership break stuff, but simpler is usually better for Kislev and gun lines in general. Usually it's the shooting that does the heavy lifting. The Lords are a little bit an accessory after the fact to all of the mischief they can get up to. Yeah, we'll see if Clan Rat can get things done. Grom did the job as well. Yeah, that figures. Little Grom is amazing. Are there any matchups where Little Grom isn't useful, is my question. Because it's really good against infantry, too. I don't know what I'm doing here. I need to jump into the finals game. We can stop gushing about the last match. So Kislev versus Lizardmen. Kislev, they do have some really good tools for clearing out skinks. One of which is the ice magic that I mentioned earlier with Zarina, or just a regular old Ice Witch. Ice Maiden's Kiss does a ton of damage against light armor. And even against Saurus it'll do some good work. You got Ice Sheet and Frost Blades too, which are pretty cost-effective spells. But we'll see what Via is going to be bringing. Via's much better Kislev player than me, and probably a better player overall right now. Much more practiced. So we'll see what their answer is to the lizard swarms. So I can't tell you how many times I've been bodied by lizards. Just running in with hordes of skinks and just terrorizing all of the more expensive units on the field just by sheer weight of numbers and cost efficiency, man. We're peeking at the builds a little bit. You know, I'm going to use my streamer privilege here for a moment. We'll maneuver over, and let's actually see what the win rate is right now for each of these factions. Oh, Lizard's losing to Kislev. You know, Kislev, after all the nerfs and everything, has finally been balanced out. You think it's a tough matchup for Kislev? Really? They've got a decent win rate against the Lizards. I mean, they've got great shooting. I would have figured it'd be a pretty even matchup, all things considered. It's probably build roulette-y, just in the sense that if Kislev doesn't have an answer for, like, the Shredder of Lustria or something, or they're not prepared for all of the skink cap weight and can't clear it all, then they just lose. But I don't know. I mean, again, it's not a matchup that I'm super familiar with. All the skinks overrun expensive Kossars. Yeah, Feral Cold Ones and Spirit Riders are a pretty good tool against you. We'll see. Maybe trying to get some terror routes on the skinks then could even it up for you. Stelios is looking very well prepared. Via's got the last couple of units being chosen here. Trying to figure out exactly what they want. Trying to think of what would be like... I can't even think of what would be like an ironclad build against the lizards, so... Maybe just in the... Maybe in the sense that it's... There's no guarantees and there's no easy value to be had for Kislev. I guess it does make sense that it's a pretty unfavorable matchup for them. Difficult to clear lizard infantry. Word. I mean, if you can't do it with your faction, it doesn't matter who you are, what faction you're playing. If you can't clear all of the cap weight out, you're just going to lose on points. Like, value trading against the lizardmen is very difficult. They've just got so many good, like, skirmisher units and hard-hitting AP mass. You just get clogged up. I think sleds would be a trap into lizards, honestly. The heavy war sleds are great, but they're kind of slow. If they get trapped up by Cold One Riders, they're going to die pretty damn quick. Shooting into large and peel from Cold Ones, maybe. Maybe. I'm just worried about the all the poison. And the, like, Feral Cold Ones have really... They have 750 mass on each model. I think just one or two Feral Cold Ones would be enough to completely surround the sleds and lock them down from running around. Bear Riders are not good against lizards. The problem with Bear Riders is they're really expensive. They don't have a lot of healing. They're good against large targets, but you've got so much shooting on Kislev that usually the best thing you can do is go wide with a gun line against factions that want to bring big monsters and stuff. Like, if you send a Bear Rider into the Shredder of Lustria, that Bear Rider is going to die in like 5 seconds flat, because the Shredder is so much better in combat. Even against a Carnosaur, they would struggle. Sleds are really fun if you can get them to work. Like, sled heal blobs are still very much a thing. I have been wrecked by Tsarina on the sled with the heavy war sleds backed up by a couple of Patriarchs, and they just heal through all of the damage that you can put out. The problem is I don't think you could do it against lizards, because their infantry, while yeah, you can probably run them all over, they are 450 gold or 325 in the case of the skink cohort, and they'll just keep throwing bodies out at you, and eventually you're going to run out of momentum with that kind of build. And lizards have good shooting in their own right. They'd probably be able to pick apart all of your armored infantry before you can overrun all the objectives and lock them all down. Lots of Kislevite warriors, armored Kossars, a couple of them. Lots of Kossar spears, and some regular Kossars mixed in too, with one Streltsy in the back, being very sneaky.
Victory. Your queen will not tolerate failure.
You heard it here, boys. Don't fail. You're gonna go into the... I don't know, does Kislev have gulags or equivalents? Surely they've got some pretty imposing, like, ice fortresses. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be a fun, that'd be a fun Warhammer novella. Like a prison break from a Kislevite, prison, where they keep all the heretics and criminals. Damn, alright. I'm gonna need to go read up on some, Kislev lore. But Zarina's taken the #1 early. We've got double Ancient Salamander, which is going to be very good against this gun line. They'll do a pretty good job clearing out the Kislephite Warriors, as well as probably putting pressure on the Armored Kossars. Their explosion radius is pretty small, so it might take them a little longer than normal to kill the Kislephite Warriors just because they're in such a loose formation. We'll see where their first shots are going at. They're shooting at Zarina here, actually. Oh, wow, and do good damage to her. Uh-oh. Via needs to be very careful. Stelios obviously bringing in some serious matchup knowledge just by virtue of dropping some serious payloads onto the Zarina's head. Snow Leopard Summon coming out, and the Ancient Salamander is going to be microing away. Took a little bit of poke from the bows that Zarina has on the sled. Just do a ton of damage. It's kind of crazy how much damage they do. Rolling through here. Firing at Mazda Mundi, too, is also taking a pounding. But Mazda is on Zlok. Sunburst Standard with Apotheosis, Curse of the Midnight Wind. Ruination of Cities and Banishment are available also. We do have the dreaded Warhammer lag coming in here, which is just wonderful. It's pretty bad, too. Damn. Things were going fine for a second there, but now it's, like, slowed to a crawl. We might jump out, and then we'll go over the Lizardmen mirror match for the semis, and then we'll come back and get the replay from these guys. Because I have a feeling this might not even out, because it's looking pretty brutal. I don't want to slow this up for these guys. I don't know why it's chugging along like this. Alright, I'm going to jump out. I'm going to let these guys play the match. Otherwise, we're going to be looking at a slideshow all game. That's not going to be very fun, so we'll watch it in full speed when they're done and the game is over. And I'll be sure to keep it a mystery as to who wins. That way we can actually get a nice nail-biter of a game. CA has got to give us dedicated servers, because I swear it is so obnoxious. You've had no problems all day. I mean, I've spectated like 4 games now, and none of them were like that. But the second you get one person connecting from a little too far away, game over, man. Game freaking over. Dedicated servers would go a long way to fixing that. But we do have the mirror match replay, which is going to be very interesting to watch. Like I said, of the mirror matches that we can see, Lizards are probably one of the better ones to experience firsthand. Let me just drop the file over and we'll be ready to roll in just a minute. Whoops, wrong folder. I got a couple other games that people sent me that they said were pretty good. So we've got Stelios versus Shaft. Obviously, we know who wins this, but it's still going to be interesting to see how the battle plays out in practicality. Skink cohorts with javelins, backed up by some skink skirmishers, one feral cold one. Is Mazda Mundi on Zlok or just hovering in the power scooter? I think he's on Zlok. This is a very expensive SE core. With not a whole lot of cost put into the infantry. We've got a much wider front line for Shaftesbury here. Chameleon Skinks in the opening. A Stegodon with the Ballista. I really, you know, I don't hate these things, but I have never seen somebody win with the Stegodon Ballista actually firing. Just does not seem to do enough damage to actually get cost-effective value and flip games for you. Ooh, a Metal Sorcerer Slan, which is very cool. Banishments here, Searing Doom, Plague Rust, Final Transmutation, a couple Javelins, or just, yeah, 2 Javelins, lots of Red-Crested Skinks, actually. Cohort of Sotek included, 1 Saurus with Shields, Cudgel variant specifically, Feral Cold Ones, and the Chameleon Skinks getting some big dubs early. These guys do have 40% missile resistance, so against Skink Skirmishers, they'll easily out-trade them here. Taking a little bit of damage in return, but nothing that significant. Feral Cold Ones moving out to the flank. Zlok looking to get into combat here. Ruination of Cities, Banishment, Sunburst Standard, as well as Apotheosis, and Shield of the Old Ones. So, pretty thick toolkit for Mazdamundi. About 3,000 gold in terms of the actual cost on them. Oh, and this is the Thunderous one, not the Engine of the Gods. Wow, okay, so gonna be trying to get the Zippy Zaps off. Beautiful Banishment goes down, blobs up the Skinks and these Chameleons, drops it right on their heads, and it just did an ungodly amount of damage to all those guys. Sending them both into flight. Terror Out's gonna be really nice for the Lizardmen here for Stelios. Mazdamundi getting attacked by the Saurus Scar Veteran, though. It's doing some pretty good damage to him, but able to peel him off by running through the front line here. Probably going to get stuck on these Skinks. Oh, he's actually pushing through. Might be able to keep the pressure up, but Mazda is probably going to still be able to skirt away. Just needs to keep running and pull through those Feral Cold Ones and would probably be able to skirt out. One Feral Cold One being routed away, that is Shaftesbury's. Stelios's is still very functional. Stelios is down in value so far, but a lot of that damage is on the Skirmishers and the Skink cohorts, as well as a good chunk of that damage on Mazdamundi as well. So I think a little inflated because Shaftesbury's damage is very focused on the front line, with a lot of terror routes going down here so far. Good grief, dude. Come for the Warhammer, stay because it's still lagging. Oh my god, that's a really great way of putting it, man. We've been here for 20 years waiting for this game to finish. Oh, and some Fire Leech Bolas coming out. With some big value, and a Ruination of Cities just completely ruins the day of those Skirmishers. My god. Oh, good grief, dude. 289 kills on Mazdamundi right out the gate. Final Transmutation does some big damage to him, but a Shield of the Old Ones comes down. Skink cohort looking to save their Lord and Master here. Mazda's got to get the hell out of here. Don't make the mistake I did in my Lizardmen game and try to run away from their stuff. Just run through your mass and peel it all off that way. Then Mazdamundi just needs to go to the back of the map and pop Apotheosis on him. Pop Apotheosis, say that 3 times quickly. I'd probably actually break my jaw trying to do that tongue twister. But Mazda with big value so far just needs to save him, and that's a pretty guaranteed win. Stelios is doing pretty good here so far, but you know, you can't lose your Lord, but barely able to save him with the Cold One Spear Riders. Dude, Shaftesbury went hard in the paint trying to kill Mazda, but not being able to finish him there is probably why he lost this game. Mazda just gets away now. An Apotheosis is a pretty good heal. It's about 10%. 9.2 with the Spell Mastery from Mazdamundi. Just being able to pop that all game is going to be really nice. And yeah, Stelios is down big in terms of the actual value that it's showing. But you gotta remember, Mazdamundi costs 3,000 gold, and he's on death's bed, so that's the evening out factor there. And holding on to the middle objective this entire time. Dragging all the Spear Riders through the mud. These Spear Riders here doing pretty nicely. Saurus Scar Veteran finding Mazdamundi yet again. Mazda needs a little bit of help once more, but breaking the Saurus Spear Riders here. Or the Cold One Spear Riders, I guess you could call them. Another Final Transmutation goes down. Mazdamundi might die here, which is going to be really brutal. Slain Mage Priest just laughing it up back here. Mobility scooters for the win. Double banishment going down. One banishment is going to clear out the Saurus Warriors. Banishment over here hitting the Skink Javelins. Mage Priest looking to get away. Mazdamundi did die, and the Score Scar Veteran's got to be feeling pretty mighty right now. 1,500 value on this guy. Thunderous One is a little vulnerable now, but does get some good damage from the collision attacks and weapon strength. Might be able to finish this guy off or terror route him and chase him down. Umbral Tide coming up, looking to get after the Croxagores, and assuredly want to shoot the Slan Mage Priest. Fire Leech Bolas with a little bit of value, and the Stegonon back here actually has gotten some pretty good work done, so I'm eating my words a little bit on that guy. The Saurus Scarvet does get broken by the Feral Cold Ones. Umbral Tide getting some cost-efficient shooting through. Croxagore is going to be a little annoying to deal with, but both sides are just absolutely gassed right now. There's no infantry out on the field hardly. We've got one red-crested skink here, another for Stelios. Stelios still behind big time, and there's a very healthy Stegonon with a caster over here. A Plague of Rust going down on the Thunderous One is nice and all. There's really nothing to follow that up with, though. Croxagores already do AP damage, like a big majority of it being AP. With a good surround, they should be able to get through the HP of the Thunderous One. Thunderous One dropping yet another zap there. Has one more of those available. 1,500 gold value damage ain't bad. Looking to push through after the Mage Priest here. Does manage to get away from the other Stegonon. We do have a little bit of a kite battle going on from the Stegos. Chasing one another, looking to try and kill each other. Thunderous One just needs to keep running, man. And Stelios might be able to win this just because Shaft is looking so gassed. The Croxagores have got no value, and they're just getting gunned down by the Umbral Tide. Umbral Tide looking real juicy right now. Not a lot of pressure on them. They've got a lot of ammo. The Stegodon is next in line for paddling from those guys. We've got more red-crested skinks and skink cohort moving up. I would just send the Stegodon to just chase down the Umbral Tide here, I guess. That's really the only thing you've got to punish them with. Searing Doom could also be dropped back there, I guess. But there's been a lot of final transmutations this game. I don't know how much magic the Slan has. You know, the Slan don't get a lot of power reserves. They're mostly just really good at using their magic to maximum effect with the spell mastery, as well as the good power recharge. They can usually pop all their magic within the first 5 to 8 minutes of the game, and we're about at the point at which they might be running out completely. Good cost-effective fire from the Umbral Tide. I do imagine these guys are probably going to be carrying this game for Stelios. Stelios has just been able to throw infantry up on this point and continue stuffing Shaftesbury off. Skink cohorts are pushing on to this back objective, but some Tattered Feral Cold Ones and Skink cohort doing a very nice job of stopping them up. More Feral Cold Ones moving across the field to get after those guys and maybe finish them. Javelins coming up. We've got more Skink cohorts coming out, and we do have a flip for Shaftesbury in the middle here. Umbral Tide did take some damage from a Searing Doom, it looks like. But more cost-effective units moving out should be able to stop up the momentum. And Stelios has evened up the value deficit pretty nicely here. Doesn't have any of the big monsters left, but doing a very good job of protecting the Umbral Tide here, who are going to finish off the Stegodon in a matter of moments here. No healing for this guy. He's taking some big shots. 1,300 value there. Feral Cold Ones and the Skink cohort clean up the fight here. Probably just send them all to the home objective of your opponent. Just to force them to respond to that and pull units over there would be pretty good. Probably get you into a position where you can win on the caps. And maybe even be able to value trade in the middle here. Skirmishers running for their lives. Red-crested skinks looking to get after the Saurus Warriors. Brutal charge from the Spear Riders here. God, they're so good at flattening infantry on the charge. They got the same model change that Seekers did. These guys are a little overtuned against infantry right now, from what I've seen. Especially if they get a clean charge off, they just absolutely flatten everything. It's kind of crazy. But no shame in taking advantage of it on the Lizardmen. You know, Lizardmen are a great roster, but this was definitely a hole in the that they needed fixed, was the Spear Riders being really poor in combat. And because these guys don't have devastating flanker, it's not nearly as broken as it is on the Slaneshi units. More Spear Riders coming up. Umbral Tide hanging around back here, man. 1465 value. Lining up against the other Stego here. We're actually going to shoot the Red-Crested Skinks, which isn't a bad idea, man. They've got some good explosive damage on their shots. I think it is actually triple cap territory here. So Stelios just needs to hang on to the back point. Really. Doesn't need to do a whole lot else. Trying to stop the Red-Crested Skinks from getting up on the point. You do need to be careful about trying to hunker down with this much time left on the clock, because if your opponent, if you just sit all your infantry here passively and wait for your opponent to get up onto the point, they'll probably cap it away from you, especially when they have a numbers advantage over you. That's evening out a little bit. We've got tons of Skink Cohort coming out. Skink Skirmishers, but Shaftesbury does have their Lord left on the field, while Stelios did lose Mazdamundi fairly early on. How does Stelios hang on to this the rest of the game is my question. Good trading with the Spear Riders is probably the answer. Does get a great surround off on the Stego, who is going to be going down in record time here if they actually loop back around, finish this guy off. But there are a ton of Red-Crested Skinks trying to just charge them all down. Look at the damage, dude. Oh my goodness. Halved their HP in no time flat, man. Getting right through them. Going to be able to come out the other side of the unit, too. Maybe loop back around and get some more damage. And wow, the pressure going in on the #1 objective. And yeah, Shaftesbury was a little too aggressive. Didn't bring out anything to cover this back point. All of this stuff is fighting off the objectives, leaving Stelios an opportunity to maybe squeeze that objective away from him, which would be really devastating at this stage of the game. Is flipping the back point. Good fire coming in from this Cohort Javelins. We're getting some big damage on the Cohort of Sotek. Now they're going to be moving up onto the objective, maybe keeping the cap secure, but it does actually look like it's going to be flipping away from them. Stelios playing a very dangerous game. Oh my god, getting triple capped? Wow, this game is crazy, dude. This was not what I was expecting from a W here. Stelios actually won this game? Really? I'm baffled as to how exactly. Spear Riders do get on top of the Metal Priest. Are beating the living hell out of them right now. Big damage on them. Very low, very vulnerable. Umbral Tide are a little caught up on the Red-Crested Skinks here. We do have Javelin Cohorts doing a good job of peeling through them. Skink Skirmishers and the Skink Cohort out here barely hanging on by a thread on their leadership, dude. Finally getting a little bit of cap weight back flipped around. The Rock Drop does big damage to the Red-Crested Skinks here. And the Fire Leech Bola is breaking the leadership on a lot of these units. And the Cohort Swarm should be able to resecure this objective. And it is still triple cap territory for Stelios. Shaftesbury was down so big on the objectives early, and this is really impressive. Playing from behind on the value like this and somehow squeezing a win out is no small feat, man. Skink Cohorts moving up. Feral Cold Ones going for the #1 objective. Resecuring the #3 here. Just push all of your units forward and just stuff all this stuff off as best you can. It's the only thing you can really do. Just manages to flip it. Gonna be starting to get a little bit more of a ticket lead here. Slowly ticking down, though. Has to be able to hold on to this. The Saurus Warriors are going to be impossible to peel off this middle point, so Once they both get up here, it's going to be very difficult to hang on to that objective. Good collapse from the Spear Riders over here. Shaft is so good at keeping the Lord alive with little to no HP left. That is really awesome stuff. You got the Feral Cold Ones running over the Skink cohort out here, getting some big damage on those guys. Skink Skirmishers rallying, and Skink cohorts with the Javelin cohort going to be flipping the number 1, and that is probably going to be game. Shaft went really hard in the paint, having to secure all 3 objectives, and just wasn't able to secure all of the points with enough infantry to keep them all safe into the late game. And that is going to be costing him a win here. Damn, dude. Wow, oh, wow. And the Spear Riders find the Metal Priest back here yet again. Are they going to break before they kill him? He's only got 600 HP. He's probably going to rout and not rally because he's so low on health. Does actually stabilize, though. Is going to hang out here, but not enough cap weight in the ticket lead. Still triple cap territory, man. You gotta be on top of the objective portion of the game to get the win. And Stelios was all over that, and Shaft was just a little bit too far behind to be able to make it happen here. We've got routing Skink cohorts. Maybe routing one of the Saurus Warriors over to this middle objective instead of going to the back would have been a game-winning play, but it's hard to say. There was a lot of things that needed to go Shaftesbury's way there at the end to win on the tickets with that triple cap. And, I mean, look, man, it's hard against the Lizards. Skink cohorts are 325 gold and they have full cap weight. I mean, they just run out there. Even if they die, if they get 3 or 4 units on a point, they'll cap it away from you easy peasy. And then they can kind of run around the point and just kite you out for a while and leave you absolutely gassed for opportunities to finish them off. Killing that Stegodon was huge. The Stego would have been a good source of terror in the late game. Maybe would have been able to secure an objective earlier for Shaft, and then it would have been a lot harder for Stelios to play the ping-pong game like they were at the end there. Good value on everything out of Shaft's army except for the Croxagores, who did nothing at all. 260 value on them. Pretty brutal. Good value on the Cold One Riders for Stelios. Good value on Mazdamundi, all things considered. I mean, he got shut down pretty early. Still got 1,600 value. 309 kills was great. There was a ruination of cities there in the mid-game that probably killed 120 models, like, right off of it. Easy peasy, no problem for him. Feral Cold One's nice. Thunderous one was okay. Would have been much better if it had been able to get heals from Mazda, but again, really good magic choice. In being able to put up consistent pressure on Mazdamundi and shut him down. Almost got the game there. Well, that was crazy, man. Shaftesbury very much could have made it into the finals there. With just a little more time, man. I don't know why I keep having this same replay show up in my files when I'm moving stuff over. Because it just keeps appearing. It's the same one over and over again, and it's not in my downloads. Like, my downloads that I'm moving it from is completely empty. And every time I move replays over, I get this one random land battle replay that somebody sent me one time, and it pops back up in my folder. It's just baffling. I have no idea how that keeps ending up being in there. We've watched all of these games. We do have a replay here from Stelios against Falling Star that we could watch. We don't have the replay from the other guys, so I'm guessing that they're probably still persevering through the lag. I would guess that it's probably one of them doesn't have an Ethernet connection or something, or it's just... I know Via, I think, is from Europe. So that might be part of the problem. They might be connecting from different sides of the world. Until then, we'll see what Stelios was able to do against the Rats. Bringing a pretty similar build to that Semis win, actually. But with a Rev Crystal added into the mix. Which is not a bad option, honestly. Really big SE builds, which is very fun to see. Lizards are one of the few factions that can really make these kind of builds work in domination mode. You know, most other factions, when they go really big with the SEs, they don't have the cheap chaff to come out and cap objectives. Lizards have no such issue. So, Thunderous One and Mazda Mundi looking to bully some Raki here. Arcane Unforging coming out to get Ikit, which actually is a pretty good idea. Arcane Unforging, I think, is a pretty bad spell in most matchups. But here against the Lizards, where they don't have any way of healing their Lord, I think you can definitely put in some pretty good work. Pretty good damage, good duration, increases cooldowns, which means no Flensing Ruins, no Howling Warp Gales for 34 seconds, which is going to be really nice for the Lizardmen. Definitely don't want to stay blobbed up like this for too long. That's going to be a ton of value for Falling Star. Beautiful upgraded Flensing Doom, man. But does a little miscast damage to Ikit here. Mazda Mundi not really caring all that much, and does separate away from the Thunderous One. Really nice choice there. Leaving Mazda to take the majority of the damage. It sucks, but it's better than taking a bunch of HP damage on both of these units. Because now Mazda Mundi can just get healed by the Rev Crystal. Drops a fat Ruination of Cities and ends the career of these Skaven Slaves and the Clan Rats very early. Brutal terror routes going down for the front line of the Skaven, man. Rat Ogres do get on top of Mazda, who's taking some big damage, but those Rev Crystals, dude, that's a 10% heal every time you use it, and Mazda has a fat HP pool. 10,000 HP means he's going to be healing 1,000 from every one of those Rev Crystal procs, as well as Apotheosis on him. Should be more than fine for the duration of this game. Skaven don't really have any missiles outside of the Teeth Breakers, who are a little too far out of position. They really need to be moving over to start shooting at Mazda Mundi. Although it does look like maybe they're buffering for the Ripperdactyls. Expecting them to be diving in here, but very cagey play from Stelios. Down in value once again, but getting some very good damage out of the SCs early. Terror routing a lot of the Skaven front line is doing the Lizardmen some serious good here. Clan Rats and more Skaven Slave Spears. Skaven Slave Spears doing their damnedest to try and poke down the Bastillodon Rev Crystal, who's taking a little bit of damage, but probably going to be fine. Dropping a Banishment here just to clear off the chaff. Not the worst idea. Maybe he gets a good rotation. Kill some of this Clan Rats. Doesn't look like it. Mazda popping Apotheosis on himself just to heal up. And Thunderous One looking to continue maneuvering around and trying to flatten more Rat Ogres and Clan Rats. Definitely going to be able to do that well into the later stages of the game. As long as it's got a decent chunk of HP left. Shouldn't be too hard. As long as the Rev Crystal and Mazda are around, it should be fine. Rev Crystal might be able to get some terror routes on the Rat Ogres and the Clan Rat Spears here in a moment. We finally have the Teeth Breakers opening up, and they finally get some good damage on something. Just been sitting back here a little too long, but good focus fire, man. You can see Skaven Slave Slings, they don't do a ton of damage, but they can rack it up steadily. Almost all of them have paid for themselves up to this point. And the Night Runners contributing a little bit here. Thunderous One does get into combat, and this is going to be a disgusting ruination of cities. Oh my god, dude. Mazda with 362 kills, breaks all of the missiles for the Raki over here. Thunderous One looking to get after the last Skaven Slave Sling, or the second to last. There's a couple over here. And probably going to be able to tear out these guys pretty quickly. They've got terrible leadership, so not a very stalwart unit at all. Mazda just smacking up on some clan rats, eats another Flensing Ruin, but the Skaven are going to run out of magic in a minute here. And another Arcane Unforging goes down on Ikit, and he's down to the danger zone. Bare bones on the HP, 800 health left. Takes a little damage from the Thunderous one on the way out too, it looks like. 1200 value here. Mazda gets a Apotheosis. 2300 on Mazda. It's going to be really close. Skaven have been holding the points really well. But they don't have a lot of damage left on the field. They got some Doom Flayers. And Skaven Slave Slings aren't going to be enough into the late game, I fear. Ripper Dactyls also land on the Teeth Breakers. No Spears, no Storm Vermin, no Eshin Triads to peel these guys off. That is a big loss for the Skaven. This was one of their few tools left to punish Mazda or the Thunderous one, and they're pretty uncontested now. Night Runners are going to do damage to these guys, sure, but not enough to be able to kill them with all the healing that's available out here. SE Squad going hard in the paint right now. Bastillodon gets a fat terror route too. Both of the Clan Rat Spears running for their lives now. Red Crested Skinks finally break through onto the #1 objective. Do get hammered by the Rat Ogres though. We'll see how long they're able to hold. Probably going to be able to hang in there for a little bit longer. They are pretty beat up though. Where's Ikit? Ikit is hiding in the trees. Very good call from Falling Star. Don't want to present any opportunity to lose what little leadership you've got left available on the field for the Raki. If you lose your Lord as the Skaven, it's usually game over, even if you're in a position like this, where you've got like a big ticket lead, because you just can't contest objectives, and especially when there's terror available out on the field. Look at the Thunderous one. Was down to less than half HP not too long ago, but got some Rev Crystals and Apotheosises. It's very healthy now, and Mazda Mundi has 500 kills just about. Oh, baby, you love to see it. No Ruination of Cities, no Banishments, probably not a lot of magic left. But Mazda looks like maybe has enough for an Arcane Unforging, because I think trying to Force Path back here to get after Ikit. You know, Ikit cannot hide. This is very visible to the Lizardmen player right now. That's the only reason I can imagine you'd be sending Mazda Mundi back here. Maybe other than just to stuff your opponent off of the 1 and the 2 for a bit. Ripper Dactyls finish off the Teeth Breakers. Getting some damage on the Night Runners, which is pretty nice. Doing their best to finish the fight there. Coldwind Spear Riders running over the Night Runners. Very cost-effective trade here. You know, these guys, like I said, they're pretty damn good against infantry just because of their charge bonus and their profile. They've got those very slender models, so they're able to pile into combat very effectively, and they just run those Night Runners right off the field. Ikit did get another Flensing Ruin off on the Coldwind Spear Riders there, doing some good damage, but he is on the run yet again, trying to escape from Mazda, who has just got a full chub for him, just going right through the forests, trundling on Zlog. Zlog down to 34 speed with the terrain and exhaustion in play. Not getting anywhere with any kind of alacrity, but shouldn't be the end of the world for the Lizardmen. They're pushing up on the #3, probably going to be able to take this, but they need something to kill these Storm Vermin. Red Crested Skinks moving over. Stelios has nothing in the supply bank right now. Mazda Mundi is on an errand from hell, basically. I mean, doing his very best to chase down a much quicker Lord. Ikit just needs to... I don't know where Ikit's going to go, though. Ikit's starting to run out of room a little bit. If Ikit loops around here, then maybe these Javelins can get some damage on him. It's not going to take a lot to break this guy's leadership. He's on the verge as it is. Red Crested Skinks, 2 of them coming out now, going to be able to isolate the Storm Vermin on the #1 objective with a charge from the Thunderous one. Probably going to be enough to break the leadership of these guys. No immune to Psychology or Frenzy. So they should break pretty fast, provided they take a little bit of damage and their leadership drops as they get frightened and attacked in the rear. Ah, man, great collision attacks. And there we go, getting the attacked in rear. Oh, and the Lord recently died, so Mazdamundi finally able to close the gap and get the Arcanum Forging off. Finishes poor little Icket. Broken amidst the wreckage of his horrendous contraptions there. And we do have the Javelins running apace, looking to get after those Skaven Slave slings and hold on to the number 3. Number 2 is flipping to the Raki, but there's a lot of time left in this game, and with a single cap, I don't think there's any way in hell they'll be able to hold on to this. Spear Riders doing a great job of getting damage on the infantry and just brutalizing the poor Rat Ogres, man, who half of their HP is left and they're breaking already, which is usually a sure sign as a Skaven player that it's time to throw in the towel. There's not a lot you can do here. There's too many big SCs, too much mass and mobility, as well as superior infantry. Not usually going to swing in your favor at any point. And the loss of the Teeth Breakers has really been affecting the Skaven, and not getting them in action earlier to shoot at Mazda or the Thunderous one and finishing them off. Icket was good this game, but the healing from the Lizards was ridiculous. I mean, there's probably 3,000 gold value worth of healing that was done. The Rev Crystal has used all but 2 of the Rev Crystals, and there's still room on the healing cap for the Thunderous one, who, you know, with 8,500 possible HP to be healed, probably is going to get another, like, 2,000 healing from the Rev Crystal. Going to be very hard to eke out a win against this guy with just Night Runners on the field. The lack of Jezzails and the Teeth Breakers getting effective damage in here, it's kind of what have sunk the Skaven. They would have done much better with some good focus fire in this matchup. Skaven Slave Slings just don't do enough, man. And you can see the consequences of it. Like, very good trading against the infantry early, but not enough to be able to actually kill the big SCs. And then in the late game, you just get triple capped, and then you can never find an area on which you can set and capture the objective up and start to finish the game up. Yeah, Rat's big time exterminated. Getting pushed off the number 3, trickling up onto the number 2 and the number 1, losing out there. I think we can fast forward through this, because it's just going to be Mazdamundi farming value on infantry. He's got 544 kills. Mazda Chungus looking like the champion the Lizardmen needed here. Thunderous one got okay value. A little disappointed by its bombardments. Honestly, it might be able to get an increase in the number of uses on the Judgment here. Doesn't seem to do a tremendous amount of damage. Maybe it's better against cavalry or something. I'm not sure. I mean, it looks like it's got the same profile as Uranus Thunderbolt. It drops 2 of them in an aura around itself. So I don't see how it doesn't seem to do that much damage. Because it seems like it's done most of its work by terror routing and cycle charging the infantry, rather than hitting anything of value with the actual bombardment. Mazda chillin', 3,300 on him, great performance, definitely carrying the weight in the water, you know. If ever, you know, like the, I don't know if any of y'all have read the later Dune books, but, you know, essentially Paul Atreides' ancestor, Leto, who ends up becoming the God Emperor, ends up looking a little something like what a Slan would at the end of the day, like just a fat worm with mind control powers. It's very bizarre, but all that being said, probably of equivalent power as Mazdamundi is capable of summoning. maybe not magic-wise, but just in terms of, like, being an omniscient and omnipresent being who's able to think, you know, in, like, 5 dimensions. You know, that whole 500 IQ play meme? That's Mazda Mundi and God Emperor Leto in a nutshell. You love to see SEs do well, man. That was a really nice showing from Stelios there. We'll go check and see if the finals replay is ready now. Rat Ogre's got good value, and the Skaven Slave Slings all paid for themselves, but they couldn't do enough damage-wise. Ikit got 2100 value, which is pretty low by his standards, honestly. A really, like, solid Ikit performance, like a great Ikit performance, is usually like 35 to 4000 value. And he just barely paid for himself here. Kind of got bullied around just by the presence of those Stegodons. Teethbreakers didn't get it done. This is a very expensive unit. They're like 1050, I think, and they didn't pay for themselves. They weren't in position to punish the big monsters. I think if they had been, it would have been a very different game. They're just too many Night Runners also. Like, I get the idea. You want to skirmish with the Chameleons and Skink Skirmishers, which is usually what people do with the Lizardmen. Not having any answers to big monsters, though, is always a big mistake for the Skaven, because terror routes are just so punishing for them. It was... So, they finally finished the game. Via reports, a bit better, but still pretty laggy. What can we do? Total Warhammer junk. Yeah, the junk in the trunk's not fun, but here we are. It's very sad. Oh, then they're both from Europe, so that's... I don't know why it's lagging out, then. It just is what it is, I guess. We'll get in here and we'll see which one of them won. Don't spoil itself. Don't spoil it for yourselves, fellas. You know, they didn't have a good time, but maybe at least we can. Thank you for your sacrifice. We really appreciate it. I gave a little salute here. Can't see it. Maybe I'll get a cam so that I can actually interact through the screen a little more with y'all. But anyways, Kislev versus Lizardmen. We've got, you know, the Ice Witch on her sled here with a bunch of Kislevite warriors. Very wide battle line. And Ancient Sallies with Mazda Mundi. Always a pretty good option. They get good healing from Apotheosis. They're very good at clearing out infantry. Stelios was very ready for this build, it seems. Stelios has been on point with the builds, really, is what I've been noticing. Definitely a Lizardman player who's learning all the ins and the outs, while still having a very unique playstyle by going very tall, which I always love to see. You know, it just goes to show how varied Dom can be. Wide builds, narrow builds, all of it can be viable if you know what you're doing and are able to adequately prepare for your opponent. Ice Witch rolling around out here. We'll fast forward to where we were, honestly. I mean, it's just a little bit of skirmishing in the early going. Not a whole lot going on. We do have a good shot in here from the Ancient Sally. Does a surprising amount of damage to Zarina Katerin here. Almost 400 damage. And these guys do hit pretty hard with the missile. It's about as powerful as a Skull Cannon. The only difference is these guys don't have the vortex damage. In terms of actual strength on the missile, it's pretty decent. Snow Leopard Summon trying to get after the Sallies. You're better off saving that, I guess, for the later stages of the game, but I guess just to push it away from Zarina, it's not a bad use. Nice Ice Maiden's Kiss. Fortunately for Stelios, able to dodge most of it. That would have probably taken 2/3 of the HP off of that Skink cohort if it had landed square. Oh, Surus Spear is definitely going to be the death knell of the Snow Leopard here. Very nice. Ancient Sally's trundling away, happy as can be, man. And Little Grom coming out, gonna start dropping some serious fire down on the Sallies, who really need to be careful, but they get a great shot off on the Kossars here. Very good first volley from this one. We'll see where the damage is from the other. Something that is pretty important to note, especially for SE artillery units like this, like Skull Cannons, Ancient Salamanders, Little Groms, you don't want to double up your targeting on an infantry unit, because what happens oftentimes, and if you pay really close attention in your games, what happens is you fire in, you do a ton of damage to the unit, and then the second shot from the other unit that's firing at the same target lands in the exact same area and does nothing. I don't know what it is about the targeting, but I've seen it happen way too much for my own liking. Little Grom getting good damage, and decent ruination of cities. Not nearly as devastating as we've been used to seeing from Stelios, but does about half the HP off of the Streltsy, which is going to give the Lizards a little bit of breathing room. Kiting out the Little Grom now. Should be beginning to drop some Apotheosis onto the Salamanders here, just to help them out a little bit. Skink Cohort's taking some big damage. Actually routing for the Winged Lancers even get there. Very nice fire in from the Sallies. Does some big damage to these Armored Kossars. Javelin Cohorts moving up, trying to hammer into the Kossars and the Kislevites Warriors so far. Zarina doing a very good job of staying safe, and Mazdamundi rolling around, trying to get some damage. Little too early on that Banishment. I really think it would have been better casting it here on the Kossars and the Kislevites Warriors, rather than trying to hit the Streltsy. Via doing a very good job of dodging out of the way, and we get a wacky Ice Maiden's Kiss, probably because of all the lag that they said they were dealing with. I would be willing to bet that was a lag misclick. It happens all too often. Ancient Salamander shot misses, but one does land square and gets another good chunk out of the Streltsy here. Very even game, very nicely played so far. You know, the one good thing about lag, I guess, is that it makes it pretty hard to fumble. Like, spells are pretty easy to drop the ball on, but you can do a much better job of keeping your lines evened out when you've got the lag going, because you get so much time to make decisions. So, Stelios trying to get the Javelins online, but Ice Maiden's Kiss has just been ruining the Cohort's day so far. It's been so cost-effective at clearing out all the little skinkies. Via is taking a little bit of a value lead, but these Streltsy are not much longer for this world. 23 models left. After Buyer Blood wears off in the next 4 seconds, they're probably going to be running, and there you go. That's kind of what I'm talking about. It's a little unrepresentative just because this unit's already so beat up. But the Sally one shot landed right in here, and then a couple seconds later, another shot lands in the same place. Lightning does strike twice, ladies and gentlemen, in Total War Warhammer. Don't try to double target things, is the long and the short of it. Just try and use your Salamanders to hit as many pockets of infantry as possible, and you'll get maximum effect out of them. Coldland Spear Riders with Mazdamundi break through the front line and get right on top of the Streltsy and the Armored Kossars here. Kislevites Warriors trying to rally back, but leaving themselves open to punish from the Saurus Warriors. Oh my god. Ruination of cities coming down. We're getting a slow-mo on this one. I don't care how long it takes. Vicious damage coming in here on the Kislevites Warriors, taking half the HP out of one of them. The next Vortex is going to be going down. Almost finishes them off, taking another third out of their HP. Just disgusting damage. And the last one comes down. Basically one-shot this one Kislevites Warrior. Honestly, Kisleva's very lucky they didn't do more damage to their units. They got a lot blobbed up here, and it kind of just did this number out of the radius. It is randomized, and it's properly randomized now. It used to be that it would just all go on the same line, all three of them, but now it spreads out appropriately. Little unlucky for Stelios, but that did get a nice chunk of damage in here. Should be able to keep these units locked down and isolated. And the Streltsy are terrified and running this entire time. One of the Ancient Salamanders is going down and hasn't gotten a lot of value. 1371 on Little Grom there. Sallies are just not quite able to get enough damage in on the core of the Kislevite warriors and Kossars. Going wide has really paid off for Kislev here. They've done a very good job of just running stuff down as well. Zarina Katerin hasn't gotten a lot of value, but she's doing a decent chunk of damage. Just chewing through the HP on all these units. Sometimes damage spells with the wind effects, or the, the breath spells, don't adequately represent the amount of value that you're actually doing in terms of damage. Gets a little cast there in on the red-crested skinks, who then get run over by the ice sled, which is very uncontested in the late game here. Tons of HP on Zarina, playing much more carefully with her than in the last game where she got iced out pretty hard from the game that Via was playing, but Via did win that game. In this one, with a much healthier Zarina, this is probably going to be a very dominant win. Nice banishment, doesn't super punish the dervishes and the lancers though. Via is just such a good player, able to pull out of that. Pretty big value lead here, 2,000 value up. Mazda has healing capped himself, probably just using Apotheosis the entire time, another one going down there. Red Crested Skinks and Kroxigors doing their absolute best to hang on to the number 2 here. Kislev looking pretty resurgent around the rest of the field though. Playing dangerous games on the Lizards' back objective here. But the Lizards don't have a ton here. They've got some Croxies moving in. The Feral, or not the Feral Cold Ones, Cold Ones Spear Riders looking to get after these Kossars. Doing some good damage to them. Little Grom with 1,800 value, man. You'll love to see it. Nicely done. The Ancient Salamander back here actually did rally. Still dropping shots in, trying to get after the Frostworm. Frostworm looking pretty juicy right now. You know, these things are, they definitely aren't as thick as they used to be, but they're still pretty supple. They've got a pretty juicy deal going on here. Looking to peel back and get after the Cold One Spear Riders here. And the Cold One Spear Riders getting wrecked by the Winged Lancers, who rally back to help out Zarina. Really good job by Via Anime cleaning up the backfield. Over and over again, the Lizardmen are finding a way in on the range tools in the back, but then Via just pushes up just enough to be able to peel them off without giving up the objectives. Been able to hold on to the number 1 this whole game, threatening the number 3 all this time. The Lizards, man, are just hanging in here. On the terror routes, with all the tattered infantry on the field and not a lot of cavalry left, maybe the Lizards are going to be able to win this game. God, yeah, you can see it in action here. Getting through all of the chaff of the Lizardmen is just so tough. And the Kroxigors have been pretty stalwart, honestly. Very pleasantly surprised by their performance into the later stages of the game. Hammering down on those armored Kossars. Little Grom out of ammo. Gotta unsummon this immediately. The second it runs out of ammo, it needs to go. Does get taken offline. Should give a nice rebate to Via. About 800, I believe, is how much it gives back. And yeah, about 750, which is pretty solid. I don't know what Via's going to bring out in the late stages of the game, though. Oath Brothers of Tor wouldn't be bad. They could hammer down Mazda and the Kroxigors, probably, which would be really nice. I mean, the Kislevites have a decent number of infantry. They've got some cavalry. They got a new Winged Lancer out on the field. They just need, like, a hard-hitting removal tool for the Feral Cold Ones and Mazda and the Croxies. Not sure what that's going to end up being, though. Winged Lancers charge it in here, but get stopped up by the Feral Cold Ones. Nice Ice Maiden's Kiss from Zarina Katerin here. Just rolling over their skink cohort. She's probably got a couple more. It's a very cheap spell. Even Overcasted. I'm going to pause it for a sec. Overcasted, it's only 10 winds of magic, so it's not double the cost. You get a pretty, you get double the damage on it too. It's very cost effective Overcast, just like continuously. Feral Cold Ones are going to lose out to the Winged Lancers. We do get a Shield of the Old Ones. The Feral, or not the Feral, the Ancient Salamander hanging out. Contributing a little bit of the AP damage that it's got. You know, it does have the AP on its melee attacks. Should be able to do decent damage against some winged lancers, and lancers don't want any of the smoke here from the feral cold ones, Croxagors, and Big Boy. They are going to pull out triple cap territory here, I think, for Kislev, if I'm counting correctly. They do still have a good value lead, but Stelios has shown the ability to be able to scrap into the later stages of the game and still win despite being down on value. But Zarina Katerin on the sled is going to be the bane of the Skinks' existence, and another Ice Maiden's Kiss goes down. Brace leadership on the Javelins, and the cohort barely hanging in here. You can see Frightened is debuffing their leadership pretty badly. Damage sustained, losing. On a light war sled comes in, later stages of the game. They're going to be very good at shooting down the Croxagors. Their gunfire is pretty punishing. Definitely going to be able to chip away at these guys. Kislev just needs to value trade and push all of the remaining lizard units on this side of the field off. You can see very good focus. Cosified Dervishes chasing off the Javelins. That really is all you need to do against the lizards. Oftentimes, lizards can win the game by sending all their rallying skinks to cap up an objective. But just chasing it all off and not letting that happen can definitely give you the advantage. We've got a little bit of time left for Kislev to work with. They've got 290 or 210 seconds, sorry, to flip this game around, which is a little more than 3 minutes. Shouldn't be too difficult for them with that much time left. They just need to get everything up on this point now and start threatening it and force the Lizardmen to focus their attentions in one spot. And down goes Mazdamundi. The Frostworm and the Kislevite warriors find their prey and are able to drag him into the bowels of hell, sending him to an icy grave. Cosified Dervish is going to eat a nasty charge here. Last second, though, Via does see it and is able to pull away and preserve a lot of the HP on that Cosified Dervish. They probably could have lost like half their HP if they had just wandered into that engagement, but pulling him out, they're able to stay healthy. Enough cap weight here to flip it. Lizards out of gas. Mazda's dead. You know. Engineering of that kind can only do so much, you know. This is very sad. Look at Zlok. Just looks so broken when he's dead on the ground like this. I mean, just like flopped over and looking like the, looks like the Triceratops in the first Jurassic Park movie when it's sick. Just like lying over on its side, like on death's bed. Very nicely done by Via, and really close game by Stelios. Almost had that one, man. Maybe a little bit better targeting on the Ancient Salamanders, and I don't know about the dives into the back. I thought they were going to do a lot more than they ended up equaling out to. So maybe just playing a little more cagely and just throwing more chaff out onto the field to just keep eating the damage that Kislev was throwing out with all their range damage would have been the better play. Because a lot of these Kossars got some pretty good value. I mean, you can see here 800 and 900 on these guys. Streltsy paid for themselves here. These guys got more than their value back, which is great for Kislev. Armored Kossars struggled some. Kislevite warriors endured. They didn't get great value. Zarina with 300 kills and 2,000 value is very nicely done. She's great on the sled. And Ice Maiden's Kiss, I mean, I did expect it to do well, but it did a little bit better even than what I was anticipating. Winged Lancers, they were a little lackluster. They really didn't hammer home nearly as well as I thought they would, but they got solid value for the most part. Only one of them did really poorly. The other two at least got a little more than their value back. Cosified Dervishes chased a lot of stuff off. You know, the damage here, not truly reflective of the performance that they had. Frostworm did great. Little Grom did great. Again, this is like the mark of a really solid player, is where you look at the value on a lot of their units and you just don't see a lot of inefficient usage. Either they got their full value back or a little bit more, or even if they didn't get their value back, they were at least holding up the momentum of a bunch of other enemy units, which is kind of what these Armored Kossars were doing. I was paying a little bit of attention to these guys over the course of the game. They were stopping up a lot of skinks from being able to support those back pushes with the Coldwind Spear Riders that Stelios was going for. So really nice, man. Great finals game. Very sad that they didn't get to enjoy it as much as I did. But we'll get in here and congratulate everybody. And thank you all for showing out for the tournament. I am starving quite literally to death right now. I haven't eaten yet today. I've been doing way too much and drank way too much coffee. And that just gets me too amped up to have any appetite. So I need to go resolve that. And I will come back soon, though, with another stream. Hopefully tomorrow night. And I'll probably just do a ladder stream where I just practice, because my performance in tournament today was terrible. It was not good. I did not play on top of my game. I fell way behind the curve. So I'll see y'all then. And until then, y'all take care and have a good one. Peace out, guys. Much love. I'll see y'all later.